Chapter 841. Yin Luofeng had merely allowed fire to slap him, but in his mouth it had become Yi Jingqian's betrayal of the Yi family. The guards looked at each other in dismay, but no one dared to make a move. Even if Yi Jingqian had been expelled from the Yi family, he was still the young master of the Yi family. How could they dare to offend him? Make a move on him? Seeing that the guards were standing still, Yi Jingqian became even more furious. At this moment, Yin Luofeng's languid voice rang out. "So what if I hit you?" She raised the corner of her lips. "You slandered the son of a Yi family. Don't you deserve to be hit?" Yi Jingqian was stunned. What do you mean by that?" "What I mean is very simple. Yin Xiao is Yi Jingqian's biological son." Boom! Like a bolt from the blue, Yi Jingqian was stunned. Yi Jingqian and Jun Fengling were also stunned. No one knew better than them who Yin Xiao's father was. After all, Jun Fengling had only met Yi Jingqian after leaving the Xiao family. How could Yin Xiao be his son? "Fengler!" Jun Fengling was a little anxious. He kept giving Yin Luofeng looks, trying to stop her from speaking. From beginning to end, only Yin Xiao was the calmest. To him, no matter what Yin Luofeng wanted to do, she had her reasons. All he could do was believe her unconditionally. Impossible. This is impossible. Yi Jingqian took 2 steps back. How could this bastard be my brother's son? He clearly came from the Roaring Dragon continent. Yin Luofeng slowly took 2 steps closer to Yi Jingqian. How do you know that Yin Xiao wasn't born from father and mother in the Roaring Dragon continent? Moreover, it's very simple to verify what I said. A drop of blood is enough. Yi Jingqian's eyes flashed fiercely. He really didn't expect his brother to have a son outside. Could it be that he was afraid that he would hurt their son, so he hid it for so many years? Obviously, Yi Jingqian already believed Yin Luofeng's words. After all, she had even said a drop of blood to identify the kinship. How could it be false? Jun Fengling's expression became even more anxious. Once the blood test was done, it would be enough to prove that Yin Xiao wasn't Brother Ye's son. At that time, it would be very difficult to clean up the mess. Just as her heart was filled with anxiety, a voice suddenly sounded in her mind, exploding with a loud bang. "Don't worry, I will take back what belongs to you." Jun Fengling raised her head in surprise. At that moment, she met a pair of eyes that seemed to be smiling. That pair of eyes was so bright that it miraculously calmed her anxious heart down. Soul transmission. She could actually use soul transmission. Just how many things did this daughter-in-law of hers not know? "I'll go discuss with the elders and choose a date to carry out the blood test." Yi Jingqian glanced coldly at Yin Luofeng. "If it turns out that this bastard isn't my eldest brother's son, I'll show you." With that, Yi Jingqian waved his hand and led a group of guards out of the courtyard, hurrying in the direction of the Elder Council. Only Yin Luofeng and the others were left in the courtyard. However, she was still a bit worried, so she set up a barrier around the courtyard, making it impossible for others to hear what was going on inside. "Father, Mother, I know you have many things to ask me. You can ask them now." Yin Luofeng shrugged. "Besides, no one will hear what you ask here." Yi Jingqian and Jun Fengling looked at each other and laughed bitterly. "Feng, although you've made us stay in the Yi family, what about the blood test?" Chapter 842. Yin Luofeng smiled. "Don't forget, I'm a doctor. If I want her blood to fuse, they'll definitely be able to fuse. A blood test won't be a problem." Jun Fengling was silent for a moment, then asked, "Fenger, are you doing this to protect my unborn child?" This girl was smart. How could she not guess that he wanted to reveal the news of her pregnancy? Yi Jingqian and his gang would not let her off easily. "Yes." Yin Luofeng did not deny it. "Fenger, you don't have to do this." Jun Fengling laughed bitterly. "You and Xiao are very important to me. How can I let you take the risk? How can I be at ease if you do this?" Yin Luofeng's fingers gently brushed Jun Fengling's hair. The corners of his lips curled into a smile. "The Yi family will be a gift from me to my unborn brother and sister." Brother and sister? Yi Jingqian and Jun Fengling looked at each other and saw joy in each other's eyes. "Feng, are you saying that your mother is pregnant with a boy and a girl?" Yi Jingxian was so excited that he almost hugged Jun Fengling and kissed her. That's right. Yun Luofeng curled his lips. Mother, you're pregnant, so you must keep your body and mind happy. You don't have to worry about me and Yun Xiao. As long as that Holy Spirit from the Yi family doesn't make a move, we won't be in any danger. In fact, Yin Luofeng did not know what realm Yun Zhao's current strength was, nor was he sure if he could stand against that Holy Spirit. However, other than that Holy Spirit, the rest of the Yi family was no match for Yun Xiao. Although Jun Fengling's strength was not bad, she was pregnant now, so her strength would definitely be slightly weakened. If news of her pregnancy were to spread now, those people would definitely attack her while she was unprepared. If that was the case, she might as well let them attract the hatred. Jun Fengling sighed. Having such a daughter-in-law in this life, what regrets did she have? Jun, take good care of your pregnancy. I'll protect Xiao and Feng. A cold glint flashed across Yi Jingqian's eyes. If anyone dares to hurt them, I'll protect them even if it means falling out with the Yi family. Jun Fengling raised her eyebrows lightly and said with a faint smile, I haven't returned to the Yi family for many years. This time, I'll definitely be looked down upon by those people again. However, I won't swallow my anger like before. This time, whoever dares to bully or humiliate me, I will return 100-fold. At that moment, a silhouette rushed over. When Yin Luofeng saw the silhouette, he removed the barrier and walked to Jun Fengling's side. Young master, the servant hurriedly reported, the elders want you to go over. Yi Jingqian frowned. All right, I'll be right there. After saying that, he turned to face Jun Fengling with a gentle gaze. Juner, I'll be right back. If anyone from the Yi family bullies you, don't hold back. Fight them back. Remember, no matter what, I'll be on your side. Jun Fengling nodded slightly. She instinctively wanted to touch her stomach, but she quickly put her hand down when she remembered that there were people from the Yi family around. All right, I'll wait for you. Yi Jingqian caressed her head gently and turned around. Lead the way. Young master, please follow me. The servant gestured for him to follow and led the way. Even though the servant's words were very polite, the disdain between his eyebrows was still revealed. Chapter 843. In the elders' room, all the elders sat around a long table. Sitting at the head of the table was Yi Xiang, the most talented person in the family. Even Yi Jingxian, as the future head of the Yi family, had to listen to his advice sometimes. As the door opened, everyone in the room looked out in unison. When they saw the man who had appeared outside, all the elders' eyes were filled with complicated emotions. Come in, Elder Yi Xiang said in a low voice. Yi Jingqian entered slowly under the elder's gaze. His steps were steady, his breathing steady, and he wasn't in a hurry. Just this alone made him incomparable to Yi Jingxian. You're back, Yi Xiang asked indifferently as he watched Yi Jingqian walk into the elder's office. Yes, I'm back. He's back, and this time he wouldn't back down. I heard that you have a son outside. Yi Xiang asked directly, without a word of nonsense. Yi Jingqian smiled. That's right, he's my son. It's my fault for letting him wander outside all these years. He's already returned to the Yi family with me. If you don't believe me, you could do a blood test. I have no objections. Since that's the case, let's choose a date for the blood test. Let's do it 3 days from now. Plus, today's matter is too important. I'll inform the head of the family, who's in seclusion. Yi Xiang said indifferently. Compared to Yi Jingxian, he was more optimistic about Yi Jingqian. Unfortunately, Yi Jingqian was too powerful, but he didn't have any children, so he couldn't inherit the Yi family. Although he had a son now, he heard that his son was a good-for-nothing. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been expelled from the Xiao family where Jun Fengling lived. What a pity! Yi Xiang felt that it was a pity. If his son had been so talented, he would have made Yi Jingqian the young master of the Yi family no matter what. Elders! Yi Jingxuan's eyes flickered. He stood up and chuckled. Now that my brother is back, there's no one to manage the business in Kargalik. Why don't I send someone over? Yi Xiang frowned. Kargalik belongs to your brother. It's not appropriate for you to do this. Elders, Yi Jingxian said with a fake smile. Kargalik is such a remote place. How can someone as noble as my brother stay there? I'll send someone to replace Big Brother. Yi Jingqian glanced at Yi Jingxian mockingly. It seemed that it was just as Fenger had said. His younger brother wouldn't give up on the business. Not only that, before he left, he had already cleared out all the medicinal ingredients in the business and brought back a few of his trusted aides. What was left for him was just an empty shell. Second young master, don't forget that you were the one who suggested transferring eldest young master to Kargalik. Why didn't you think that Kargalik was a remote place? Among the elders present, an elder dressed in green couldn't stand it anymore and retorted, "Now young master has developed Kargalik to such a prosperous state, and you want to take it back?" Yi Jingxian looked displeased as he glanced at the green-robed elder who had spoken. "I just want him to go there and reflect on himself. Maybe he will realize his mistake and leave sister-in-law. Who knew that he would be so stubborn? Now I also feel sorry for him, so I let him come back to Yi family." Hearing this, the other elders who were usually in cahoots with Yi Jingxian also spoke up. Second young master is right. No matter what he does, it's for the sake of eldest young master. On the contrary, eldest young master bites Liu Dongbin like a dog and doesn't know what's good for him. He's been bewitched by a vixen and doesn't hesitate to go against his own brother. Chapter 844. Who knows if that bastard is really eldest young master's son? Maybe that vixen is deceiving eldest young master. To think that second young master still calls her sister-in-law. In my opinion, she's not worthy of entering the family. Eldest young master, you should really reflect on yourself. Where else can you find a good brother like second young master? Second young master has always been considerate of you, and even offered to return the position of young master to you several times. But what did you do? You're too heartless. The elders spoke one after another, causing Yi Jingqian to clench his fists tightly. First, since I'm a young master of the Yi family, you must treat me with respect. Jun is my wife. Who allowed you to be so rude? Yi Jingqian's eyes were cold, no longer as gentle as before. Second, whether Xiao is my son or not will be revealed in 3 days. Are you afraid of something by slandering him like this? The elders who had ridiculed Yi Jingxian were stunned. They had initially thought that Yi Jingxian was destined to be the young master, so they had done many things to hurt Yi Jingxian all these years with him. Now that Yi Jingxian had a son, they were indeed afraid. It was precisely because of this fear that they spoke without thinking. You want Kargalik's business? Yi Jingqian turned to Yi Jingxian and said coldly, I can give it to you, but only if you exchange it with 3,000-year-old herbs. Moreover, these herbs are not allowed to be taken from the Yi family. Yi Jingxian looked up blankly. How did this guy know that he was secretly hiding 3,000-year-old herbs? He had painstakingly obtained these herbs, and there were only 3 of them in total. One must know that once a herb was 500 years old, it would be priceless. Big brother, I'm doing this for you, yet you're asking for an exorbitant price, asking for 3,000-year-old herbs in one go. Yi Jingxian sneered. It's fine if you don't give it to me, but don't even think about getting it from the Yi family's business. Yi Jingqian shrugged nonchalantly. Yi Jingxuan's face darkened. He knew that elder Yi Xiang had always felt guilty for kicking Yi Jingxian out of the Yi family. If he did not do as Yi Jingxian wished, he would not be able to get the business from him. Yi Jingxian gritted his teeth and said, all right, I'll give it to you. Once he obtained the spirit-gathering elixir and nurtured the Yi family's power, no one would dare to defy his position as the Yi family's young master. I'll let you be happy for now. There will be plenty of opportunities for you to cry in the future. Is there anything else? If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. My wife and son are waiting for me. Yi Jingqian glanced coldly at the elders. He only smiled at the green-robed elder who had spoken up for him earlier. You can leave first, Yi Xiang waved his hand. In addition, because we can't be sure that the child is your son, in order to avoid becoming a laughingstock in the end, no one can tell anyone about this before the blood test. For a family like the Yi clan, they placed a lot of emphasis on bloodlines. If the blood test failed, it would definitely become a laughingstock. They couldn't afford to lose face like this. Yi Jingqian smiled mockingly, turned around, and walked out of the room without a word. After leaving the elder's room, his cold expression melted and Jun Fengling's figure appeared in his mind. The corners of his lips curled into a smile as he quickly walked towards the courtyard. In this life, only Jun Fengling was his only source of warmth. Even if he had to betray the world, he would never betray her. Chapter 845. From afar, Yi Jingchun could see a few people standing in the courtyard. His expression was filled with gentleness as he quickly walked up to them. Juner, you've been waiting for a long time, haven't you? I'll get someone to clean up our previous room later. As for Feng, and Shower, arrange them next to us so that I can protect them. All right. Jun Fengling raised her eyebrows and smiled. She turned to look at Yin Luo Feng and the others. If you're tired, go back to your rooms and rest. If you're not tired, let him and Chi-Chi take you around the imperial city. Hearing this, Yishima laughed heartily. Godfather, godmother, don't worry. Leave second brother and sister-in-law to me. Jun Fengling was naturally at ease with Yishima. With them bringing Yin Luo Feng and Yun Xiao around the imperial city, there would basically be no problems. Brother Yi, I'm tired. Let's go back and rest. Jun Fengling rubbed her forehead. Ever since she became pregnant, she had become more sleepy and lazy in everything she did. Yi Jingchun smiled and rubbed Jun Fengling's waist. After giving Yishima a few more instructions, he walked towards the backyard. Yishima attracted his gaze and laughed. Let's go. Let me show you around and familiarize you with the imperial city. Yin Luo Feng nodded lightly and did not refuse. All right. As for Yin Xiao, as long as Yin Luo Feng nodded, he would not have any objections. Yichi bit her lips as she watched them leave. Her eyes were filled with loneliness. Even though she wanted to follow them, she could not bring herself to do so in the end. The royal restaurant was the most luxurious restaurant in the imperial city. The dishes inside were also extremely famous. Hence, it had become a gathering place for countless luxurious people in the imperial city. However, this restaurant required reservations. Otherwise, they would not be able to enter. Therefore, Yishima entered the restaurant in advance to discuss with the owner of the restaurant if he could give them a seat. At this moment, Yin Luo Feng stepped into the restaurant not long after Yishima left. However, as Fire was only focused on talking to Yin Luo Feng, he did not notice the figure walking out of the restaurant in front of him and accidentally bumped into him. Originally, this collision would not have been a hindrance, but after colliding with the Fire, the old man seemed to be unable to withstand the heavy blow and fell to the ground, losing consciousness. Fire was stunned. She rubbed her head and said, "What is it? Is this old man trying to blackmail us?" Gu Shijio had heard of the word porcelain racketeering from Little M.O. It was said that there were many people who used porcelain racketeering in the world that Little M.O. had been to. In an instant, everyone in the restaurant turned to look at the people who had appeared at the door. "How dare you?" The two guards behind the old man reacted. They anxiously pulled out their swords and pointed at Fire, saying expressionlessly, "I suspect that you want to harm our lord. So, all of you, come with me immediately." Fire curled his lips. "You really want to scam me? You're already so old. Don't you have any shame? Old man, stop pretending to be asleep. Hurry up and wake up." She placed her hands on her hips and looked down at the unconscious old man. Her tone was filled with disdain. "Impudent." The guard's expression changed as he shouted harshly. He didn't know what it meant to be a scam, but it couldn't be anything good. At this moment, the people in the restaurant were also discussing, looking at Fire with eyes full of disapproval. Chapter 846. Little girl, it's your fault that you knocked this old man unconscious. Now that you're not apologizing, you're even spouting nonsense. Is this your upbringing? Fire's small face flushed red with anger. Just as she was about to get angry, Yin Luo Feng suddenly extended his hand and grabbed her, the corner of his mouth curling up into a lazy smile. "Do you believe that I can wake him up immediately?" The guard coldly snorted. Even though he didn't say a word, he could see the disbelief in his eyes. "Fire, get out of the way." After Yin Luo Feng finished speaking, he walked towards the old man who had fallen to the ground. "Halt!" The two guards' faces changed. Just as they were about to attack Yin Luo Feng, The previously silent and cold man suddenly made his move. Without any warning, a powerful force entered their bodies, causing them to be unable to resist. They were sent flying by the attack and vomited 3 liters of blood. They could only watch as Yin Luo Feng walked towards the old man. When the girl arrived in front of the old man, 3 silver needles suddenly appeared in her hand. She quickly and accurately inserted them into the acupuncture points on the top of the old man's head. Then, as her fingers moved, traces of spiritual power slowly surged into his body. Not long after, the unconscious old man opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with confusion. It was obvious that he did not know what had happened. "Sir," seeing that the old man had woken up, the guard's face lit up, and he fiercely glared at Fire. "Just now, this girl ambushed you, causing you to be seriously injured. This subordinate, how dare you?" The old man finally came back to his senses. He slapped the guard and interrupted him. "Apologize to this lady." The guard was completely dumbfounded. He didn't know what had happened. The old man no longer looked at him. He stood up from the ground and respectfully cupped his fist towards Yin Luo Feng. "Young lady, did you save this old man just now?" Yin Luo Feng glanced at him from the corner of his eye. "I just want to prove that the matter of you fainting has nothing to do with my sister. Fire, let's go." The old man still wanted to say something, but Yin Luo Feng did not give him the chance. After a moment, he disappeared in front of his eyes. He took a deep breath and said, "Investigate this girl's identity for me." "Yes, sir." The 2 guards cupped their fists and replied respectfully. Imperial Palace. In the Imperial study, a figure in bright yellow was reading through memorials. Perhaps it was because he had been too tired for the past few days. At this moment, the man's face was a little tired, and his complexion was a little sallow. "Your Majesty." A eunuch hurried over and reported, "Lord Xianxia is here." The man was startled and said, "Let him in." "Yes, Your Majesty." After the eunuch finished speaking, he hurriedly retreated. After a while, an old man in a flaxen robe walked in from outside the imperial study. If Yin Luo Feng was here, he would definitely be able to recognize this Lord Profound Heaven as the old man who had tried to blackmail him at the restaurant. "Xianxia, have you found a way to treat the Empress?" The man's voice sounded a little tired as he asked calmly. Ever since the Empress married His Majesty, they had been deeply in love. Unfortunately, as an emperor, His Majesty had too many helplessness. It was impossible for him to have 3 palaces and 6 courtyards. For the sake of His Majesty, the Empress had tolerated other women. Perhaps out of guilt towards the Empress, the Emperor had always treated her very well. However, the road to happiness was strewn with setbacks. For some unknown reason, the Empress and the First Lady of the Yi family, Jun Fengling, were unable to conceive. As the ruler of a country, His Majesty was under great pressure because of this. Chapter 847. What caused His Majesty to break down even more was the fact that the Empress had contracted a terminal illness not too long ago, and her days were numbered. To save the Empress's life, he had issued an order. Regardless of whether it was a prince or a princess, as long as they could save the Empress, they would be given the title of Crown Prince. His Majesty's infatuation with the Empress was clear. "Your Majesty, you know that I am suffering from an old illness. If it is not cured, I will faint at any time, and there is no way to treat it. There is no way to wake me up either. In the past, he would always keep track of the time and would not leave the house when he was in a coma. Hence, not many people knew about his old illness. Who would have thought that it would suddenly act up today?" And then, the man furrowed his brows and asked. Xianxia smiled. "Then, I met a woman. She only gave me a few acupuncture needles, and I woke up. Hence, I believe that the woman's medical skills are extremely high, and no one in the Imperial Hospital can compare to her. If I can invite her over, perhaps she can cure my old illness." Even the Empress's illness. The man rose to his feet when he heard this. His eyes were filled with excitement, and his breathing quickened. "Where is that woman? We will send someone to invite her here immediately." "No, we will invite her personally. As long as she can cure the Empress, we can ask for anything. Your Majesty, I have already sent someone to investigate the woman's identity. I believe that we will have news very soon." However, I can see that the woman has a cold temperament, and wealth may not be able to attract her. As such a powerful doctor, she must have no interest in wealth, but she should be interested in medicinal herbs, right? If she can cure the Empress, it doesn't matter if she has all the medicinal herbs in the imperial treasury. Xianxia was shocked and stared in astonishment at the man's excited face. He did not expect her to offer such a great temptation. Xianxia, we have owed the Empress too much all these years. If we had not hurt her heart so often, we would not have caused her to be childless for so many years. The man laughed bitterly. If we can cure the Empress, we can give up everything, even this country. Your Majesty. Xianxia was shocked. He never thought that His Majesty would go to such lengths for the Empress. You don't need to persuade us. We have regretted it for so many years. What's the point of having so many concubines? The weight of those women in my heart cannot compare to the Empress. Especially with the Empress' serious illness this time, Zhen understands even more that Zhen cannot lose her. Xianxia lowered his head. I respect your Majesty's wishes and will do my best to find that lady. Leave. The man waved his hand and sat down tiredly again. If there is any news of her, you must inform Zhen. Zhen will personally invite her to diagnose the Empress. Yes, your Majesty. Xianxia cupped his fists and retreated. As soon as he stepped out of the imperial study, he saw Jiang Mengyao walking towards him. In Tianyan Nation, doctors had a high status, especially Xianxia, who was the head of the imperial physicians. He didn't need to salute anyone except the emperor. Therefore, when he saw Jiang Mengyao walking over, he only nodded in acknowledgement. Master Xianxia, Jiang Mengyao stopped in her tracks and smiled. I have some questions about medicine that I don't understand. Can I ask you a few questions? Xianxia frowned and said, I'm sorry, Sixth Princess. I still have some matters to attend to. I'm afraid I don't have the time to teach you. Jiang Mengyao was startled, but she quickly regained her senses. She smiled and said, It's all right. When Master has time, Mengyao will ask you a few questions. She then pushed open the door of the imperial study and walked in. Chapter 848. Sister-in-law, did something happen to you at the restaurant earlier? Yishima scratched the back of his head and asked in confusion as they walked along the busy street. Nothing. Yin Luofeng smiled. It's getting late. We should head back. Nothing happened. Then why did the people who were eating at the restaurant peek at you before we left? Sister-in-law, since you've come to the imperial city, I have to protect you as your brother. I can't let anyone bully you. Yishima patted his chest and said confidently. Yin Xiao could not stand Yishima acting like a hero in front of Yin Luofeng. He glanced at him coldly and said, She has my protection. She doesn't need you. Her words didn't affect Yishima, so Yin Xiao added, You won't be able to protect her with your abilities. Yishima was speechless. Yin Xiao had hit his sore spot. Although he thought that he was talented, he could not be compared to Yin Xiao. Yi Qi, you're just a dog adopted by the Yi family. How dare you bark at us? Have you forgotten that you're a dog? Suddenly, an arrogant voice was heard on the busy street, attracting Yin Luofeng's attention. Yi Qi was surrounded by a group of people not far away. Her pretty face was flushed, and her eyes were filled with resentment. Yi Tianlin, I wouldn't have scolded you if you hadn't badmouthed my adoptive mother. You're the one in the wrong. I'm not at fault. Yi Qi bit her lip. Besides, even if I'm an adopted dog, I'm still the dog of my adoptive parents. What does that have to do with you? Oh, what a protective dog. Yi Tianlin laughed. Don't forget, all these years your food, drink, and expenses have all been paid for by the Yi family. You'll do whatever I ask you to do. Now crawl between my legs. Otherwise, I'll make life miserable for both you and Yishima. Yi Qi clenched her fists angrily. In the end, she could not hold back her anger and punched Yi Tianlin in the face. 2 streaks of blood flowed from Yi Tianlin's nostrils. He wiped the blood from his nose, and his face darkened. Damn girl, how dare you attack this young master? Do you think your adoptive parents can protect you? Don't forget, the imperial princess is this young master's future sister-in-law. Yi Qi regretted it as soon as she punched Yi Tianlin. She couldn't help stepping back, but she was still unwilling to be outdone by Yi Tianlin. she said firmly. What's so great about a royal princess? My sister-in-law is much better than her. Yi Tianlin sneered. Your sister-in-law? Are you talking about the wife of that bastard that Jun Fengling brought back? How could she be compared to the imperial princess? What a joke. Was her medical skills better than the princess, or was her family background better? Let me tell you, Princess Mingyao's master is a doctor who is second only to Master Xianxia in Tianya Nation. How do you think she can compare to Princess Mingyao? Of course, it was medical skills. In the beginning, when Yi Qi didn't know Yun Luofeng's identity, she had looked down on her just like everyone else. Furthermore, she had been used by Shui Roer, so she thought that Yun Luofeng was useless. But later, when he learned that she was Yun Luofeng, he never looked down on her again. Moreover, Yun Luofeng had cured her adoptive mother's infertility. How could Princess Mingyao compare to such powerful medical skills? However, Yi Qi knew that she couldn't let anyone else know about this, so she bit her lip and kept quiet. Chapter 849. Seeing Yi Qi backing away, Yi Tianlin became more and more pleased with himself. He raised his eyebrows and said, Yi Qi, you must remember that you're just a dog in the Ye family. When your master feeds you, just wag your tail and beg for mercy. Don't even think about resisting. Yi Tianlin said. Yi Qi glared at Yi Tianlin fiercely. Who would have thought that her glare would completely enrage Yi Tianlin? Damn girl, you still dare to be so arrogant. Men, give this girl a good beating. Yi Tianlin clenched his fists and ordered coldly, with a gloomy expression on his handsome face. Not only had this girl dared to hit him, but she was also unrepentant. Today, he would teach her a lesson. Yes, young Master Lin. In an instant, the group of guards behind Yi Tianlin rushed towards Yi Qi. One of the guards grabbed Yi Qi's arm tightly, while another threw a punch at her. In an instant, half of Yi Qi's face swelled up like a pig's head. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she stubbornly refused to let them fall. She glared at Yi Tianlin with her pretty eyes full of grief and indignation. Damned girl. Who gave you permission to look at me like that? Yi Tianlin walked up to Yi Qi with his head held high. He held her chin tightly with his fingers and said with a creepy smile, What's the use of keeping a dog that dares to betray its master? Yi Tianlin raised his hand and slapped Yi Qi's face fiercely again. Yi Qi was so frightened that she closed her eyes and her eyelashes trembled slightly. However, she did not feel any pain from the slap. Her eyelids trembled and she slowly opened her eyes. The man's back was facing Yi Qi. The hem of his clothes fluttered in the wind. His back was very thick, like a mountain, and it was very reassuring. In an instant, Yi Qi's heart skipped a beat. She stared at the man in front of her in a daze as an indescribable feeling surged into her heart. Yi Tianlin. The corners of the man's lips curled into a cold smile. His handsome face was curled into a mocking smile. It seems that you've forgotten how I chased after you and beat you up a few years ago. Why? Now you want the old dream to come true? A trace of panic flashed in Yi Tianlin's eyes, but he forced himself to calm down. He gritted his teeth and said, Back then, my uncle had a very high position in the Yi family, so I didn't dare to make a move against you. But now my father is the head of the Yi family. What right do you have to go against me? What goes around comes around. Yi Jingqian used to have the highest status in the Yi family, but he ended up marrying a hen that couldn't lay eggs. Moreover, for so many years, for a woman who couldn't even bear a child, he wasn't even willing to take a concubine. As a result, the elders of the Yi clan became increasingly disappointed with him and even transferred their power to their own father. Yi Shima raised his eyebrows and sneered. A few years ago, when I first came to the Yi family, I was able to beat you up so badly that you didn't dare to appear in front of me. A few years later, I can do the same. If you don't believe me, you can try. Yi Tianlin's expression changed. Facing Yi Qi, he would not be so panicked. After all, Yi Qi's talent was not very strong. However, he felt weak in front of Yi Shima. Let's go. Yi Tianlin clenched his teeth and waved his hand. He turned around and was about to leave with the Yi family's guards. At that moment, a powerful spiritual power hit him from behind. Caught off guard, Yi Tianlin fell forward quickly with a bang and fell to the ground in a sorry state. Chapter 850. Who? Who ambushed this young master? Yi Tianlin crawled up from the ground with great difficulty, his expression changing drastically as he roared. Just as he was looking for the assailant, a lazy voice with a flattering smile suddenly came from the front. I didn't ambush you. I did it openly. You didn't feel my attack, which means you're too stupid. The street that was enveloped by the setting sun was calm and tranquil. The passers-by who were originally walking to and fro, after noticing the unforeseen event in this area, all turned their gazes towards the young girl who was standing against the wind. It was only at this moment that the crowd finally understood what it meant to be dressed in white, to be able to cause the downfall of a nation. They had thought that Princess Mingyao was peerless enough, but compared to this girl in white, she paled in comparison by more than a level. She was, without a doubt, the #1 beauty in the world. Was it you who ambushed me just now? Yi Tianlin recovered from his shock and asked with a dark expression. The girl's lips curled into a lazy smile, but it was permeated with a chilling aura. I've already said that I didn't ambush you. I attacked you openly. Then, the girl turned to Yi Qi and asked, Tell me what he said to humiliate Mother. Yi Qi was stunned. He said that Godmother is a hen that can't lay eggs, and he also said that Godmother is a coquettish slut who seduced Godfather and made him wear a green hat. He even said that second brother is a bastard born from Godmother and a wild man. Yin Luofeng slowly retracted his gaze from Yi Qi and looked at Yi Tianlin with an evil smile. How about this? If you insult my mother, I'll slap myself 10 times, and if I say 2 times, I'll slap myself 20 times. I've always been fair, and I think that my mother is at a disadvantage if I only let you slap yourself. There were already many passers-by on the street, and they were all dumbfounded when they heard Yin Luofeng's words. Someone only insulted Jun Fengling once, and he wanted him to slap himself? And he even said that Jun Fengling would be at a disadvantage if he did that? Yi Tianlin was so angry that his handsome face turned red. You're too impudent. My father is the young master of the Yi clan, and my elder brother is the future son-in-law. If you dare to treat me like this, you will definitely have your 9 generations executed. Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes, and a dangerous light flashed in them. Since you don't want to slap yourself, let me help you. Yi Tianlin was stunned. Before he could recover, he saw Yin Luofeng in front of him. Then, Yin Luofeng took out a few needles from who knows where and pierced them into his body. Immediately after, he felt his hand going out of control and fiercely slapping himself. Pah! After this slap, half of Yi Tianlin's face turned red, and the 5 finger marks were very clear, showing the strength he had used. Everyone was stunned. Even the guards behind Yi Tianlin looked at each other, not knowing whether they should pull their young master or not. It looks like you also know that you were wrong. Yin Luofeng curled the corners of his lips. However, even if you slap me enough, I won't accept your apology. What he meant was that Yi Tianlin was doing this to apologize. Poor Yi Tianlin, he wanted to defend himself, but his throat could not make a sound. He could only let Yin Luofeng slap his face again and again. As Yin Luofeng had been very secretive when she had inserted the needles, no one had seen her actions. Moreover, Yi Tianlin could not say anything, so they thought that he had silently agreed with Yin Luofeng's words. Chapter 851. Hence, everyone was dumbfounded and could not understand what had happened. How could the arrogant Yi Tianlin know that he was wrong? The entire street was so quiet that only the sound of Yi Tianlin slapping himself could be heard. In the end, his entire face was numb, but he still could not stop his hands. When the last slap landed, his body turned limp and he fell heavily to the ground. Young Master Lin. The guard hurried forward, wanting to help Yi Tianlin up. However, just as he arrived in front of Yi Tianlin, he was sent flying with a slap. Yi Tianlin shouted angrily, "What were you doing? Why didn't you come and help me?" The guard's voice faltered and he replied weakly, "Young master, didn't you apologize to her by slapping yourself? I thought you were apologizing, so." Yi Tianlin's throat tightened and he could not voice his bitterness. He forced himself to his feet and glared fiercely at Yin Luofeng. Damn girl, I'm the righteous young master of the Yi family. You're only the wife of a bastard. How dare you treat me in this way? I'll make you pay. Elder Yixiang had ordered that no one was allowed to speak of this matter before the blood test. Hence, even though Yi Tianlin was the young master of the Yi family, he was still unaware of this matter. Let's go. He waved his hand and led the Yi family guards away in a sorry state, not daring to stay for even a moment longer. Yin Luofeng stared in the direction where those people had left and turned towards Xianxia. Only then did a smile appear on her peerlessly beautiful face. Xianxia, let's go back. Xianxia nodded silently. Her grim black eyes stared in the direction of Yi Tianlin's departure as a murderous intent rose from the bottom of her eyes. At the Yi family home, in the courtyard, Yi Jingxian was walking out when he saw a badly battered Yi Tianlin walking over with a group of guards. Yi Jingshuan's brows immediately furrowed. Yi Tianlin had clearly noticed Yi Jingxian as well. Tears of grievance rolled down his face. Father, you have to stand up for me. That bitch actually dared to beat me up like this. She's simply looking down on the Yi family. Yi Jingxian sighed. No one knew his son's character better than he did. Yi Tianlin and Yi Tianwen were different. As the eldest son, Yi Tianwen had a steady temperament. Otherwise, he would not have been able to capture Princess Mengyao. However, Yi Tianlin, who came from the same mother as Yi Tianwen, was a dandy through and through. He must have gone out to stir up trouble today and ended up kicking an iron plate. Tell me, who is that bitch you mentioned? Even though Yi Jingxian knew that his son must have provoked someone first, it didn't mean that he would allow anyone to bully his son. Yi Tianlin said with hatred. Who else could it be? The woman beside that bastard Yin Xiao. What? Yi Jingshuan's expression changed as he shouted. That bitch dared to hit my son? Unforgivable. Liner, I'll go and invite the elders to uphold justice. We'll definitely give you an explanation. Yi Tianlin lowered his eyelids with a sinister smirk at the corner of his eyes. Whether it was that bastard or Yi Shima, he would let them know the consequences of offending him. Within the imperial city, no one would dare to oppose him. Yi Shima had just stepped into the Yi family home when he sensed that something was wrong with the atmosphere. Just as he was hesitating, a servant hurried in and reported, Young Master Imo, the clan elders are already waiting for you in the Great Hall. They have asked you to meet them when you return. Chapter 852. Clan Elder? They're looking for me at this time. Yi Tianlin must have gone to complain. Yi Shima sneered and turned to look at Yin Luofeng and Yin Xiao. Second brother, sister-in-law, wait for me in the room. I'll deal with those stubborn old men. There's no need, Yin Luofeng said calmly. Let's go together. How could Yi Shima not know that Yin Luofeng did not want him to face this alone because he was the one who caused this? He sighed softly and looked helpless. All right, but I'll say this first. Don't say anything later. Just leave everything to me. Yin Luofeng did not comment. His black eyes were full of smiles. As for what she was thinking, perhaps no one would know. In the hall, the air was suffocating. When Yin Luofeng stepped into the hall, all the elders in the hall looked at him in unison. Their eyes were filled with anger and reproach. Little Xiao Feng. Jun Fengling quickly stood up and walked in front of Yin Luofeng and the rest. She blocked them as if she was protecting her children. She looked heroic. Don't worry. I'm here. No one can touch you at all. After saying that, she glanced at everyone in the hall fiercely. A cold glint flashed across her phoenix eyes. Yi Jingchun did not say anything. However, his actions had already shown his inner choice. Young Master Lin, tell us. What happened? Elder Yixiang lowered his head and asked after a moment of silence. Yi Tianlin complained with tears and snot running down his face. Elder, I was just chatting with Yi Qi on the street. Who knew that this woman would suddenly rush out and slap me a few times? She even slapped my face to such an extent. Elder, please seek justice for me. Yi Qi was furious. He was the one who had humiliated her godmother first. That was why she had gotten into a fight with him on the street. However, he made it sound like they were just chatting. Moreover, Yin Luofeng did not even lay a finger on him. Yet, he was slandering him. This has nothing to do with my sister-in-law. It's me. Yi Qi gritted her teeth and stood up. If it wasn't for her, they wouldn't have encountered such trouble. She should stand up and bear all the responsibility. Just as she was about to take on everything by herself, Yin Luofeng's evil voice rang out in the hall. Are you sure your face is swollen because of me? Yi Tianlin glared at Yin Luofeng. Who else could it be if not you? Suddenly, Yin Luofeng laughed. The Yi family guards here will naturally listen to you and help you frame me. Unfortunately, many people saw what happened just now. As long as they ask around, they will know that your face was swollen from slapping yourself. What nonsense are you talking about? Yi Tianlin's expression changed as he shouted in a stern voice. Yin Luofeng glanced at him evilly. I was wondering why you would slap your own face until it was swollen. So it was to frame me. Yi Tianlin was so angry that his face turned ashen. Although his face was not swollen from Yin Luofeng's slaps, he could guess that his previous loss of control was definitely related to this woman. Hearing Yin Luofeng's words, Yi Xiang's expression darkened. His cold gaze swept across the guards in the hall, and he said in a low voice, "Before the master hands over the position to the second young master, this Yi family is still under my control. Now, tell me immediately what happened to young Master Lin's injuries. It's fine if you lie. I will naturally send people to investigate. If I find out that you're lying, you know the consequences." Chapter 853. The guards looked at each other and knelt on the ground, begging, "Elder, it was young Master Lin who injured himself. We had no choice but to lie for young Master Lin. Please forgive us, Elder." Elder Yi Xiang's expression gradually darkened. He glanced at Yi Tianlin coldly. "Is that true?" Yi Tianlin had initially questioned Elder Yi Xiang in a righteous manner, but now that he had heard Elder Yi Xiang's words, he immediately shriveled up and said timidly, "Elder, it was this bitch who controlled my hand. That's why I hit myself. It's all her fault, slap." A slap suddenly landed on Yi Tianlin's face, leaving him dumbfounded. He stared at the man standing in front of him in shock. Unfilial son. Yi Jingshuan's expression was furious. "How did I educate you? Is this how you treat your brothers and sisters? Go back to your room and reflect. Without my evil orders, you're not allowed to step out of your room." Yi Tianlin covered his face and glared at Yin Luofeng with resentment and unwillingness. If looks could kill, perhaps Yin Luofeng would have been executed by him. "Big brother." Yi Jingxian faced Yi Jingchen and smiled. "This is a misunderstanding between the younger generation. Big brother, you've always been a reasonable person. I'm sure you won't make things difficult for Lin, because of this." He didn't admit his mistake at all. Instead, he claimed that if Yi Jingchen didn't let it go, then he wasn't a reasonable person. If anyone else had heard this, they would have forgiven Yi Tianlin's behavior in order to show their generosity. Unfortunately, he wasn't facing an ordinary person. He was facing the hot-tempered Jun Fengling and the crazy wife protector Yi Jingchen. "You're right." Jun Fengling's face lit up with a smile. "Your big brother's indeed a reasonable person." Yi Jingxian smiled. Jun Fengling's reaction was already within his expectations. This woman was still the same as before. In order to gain the Yi family's approval, she was willing to swallow her anger. But suddenly, the woman's tone changed. "It's precisely because your big brother is reasonable and knows what's right and wrong that I'll make sure you give my son and daughter-in-law an explanation today." Yi Jingshuan's expression darkened. "I call you sister-in-law because of my big brother. Otherwise, do you think the Yi family would acknowledge your existence? Right now, I'm talking to big brother. Since when do you have the right to interrupt?" Yi Jingchen glanced at him coldly and said indifferently, "She is my wife. Her words represent my decision." As Yi Jingchen's words fell, the other elders couldn't help but stand up. Voices of criticism and rebuke rang out in the hall. "Eldest young master, as a man, how can you listen to a woman? Women should remember the 3 obediences and 4 virtues. How can a woman who doesn't keep her chastity have the face to stay in the Yi family? In a family, the man is the one who calls the shots, which is also the woman's heaven. This woman even dared to rebel against the heavens. They should be captured and beaten to death. Yet, eldest young master is still so protective of her. Yin Luofeng instinctively placed his hand on Jun Fengling's shoulder. From the side, he caught a glimpse of the woman's cold and heroic face and could not help but frown. Had she been living like this all these years? Just because she had met someone unkind in the past, she was being criticized like this? She was even pointing at her nose and spitting at her? Why was it natural for men to be fickle while women had to follow the 3 obediences and 4 virtues? She even treated men as her heaven? Chapter 854. In her past life, Yin Luofeng had only lived for herself. She had never thought that men were everything to her. Hence, she had remained single for over 20 years in her past life. Now, even after having Yin Xiao, she still did not regard men as her sky. She would only work hard to grow and reach the level where she could fight alongside him. Yin Xiao. Yin Luofeng clenched her fists tightly as she sensed the cold aura from the man next to her. A demonic light flashed across her lowered brows. Leave this matter to me. At least, she could not allow Yin Xiao to reveal her true power before the most important person had appeared. All of you, shut up. At this moment, an angry bellow suddenly rang out, causing the noisy hall to fall silent in an instant. Yi Jingchun clenched his fists so tightly that they made cracking sounds. His eyes were filled with rage as he swept his cold gaze across the elders present. I, Yi Jingchun, am the eldest young master of the Yi family. My wife is naturally the young madam. Who allowed you to offend your superiors? What do you mean by the 3 obediences and 4 virtues? Do you think that I need a woman who is a yes man to me? Or a so-called virtuous wife and loving mother? All I want is a confidant who can spend the rest of my life with me. In this world, only Jun can resonate with my soul. You bastards who only use the lower half of your bodies will never feel this way. Yi Jingxin was known for his gentleness in the imperial city. Now that he had been forced to fly into a rage, it was clear to see how angry these people had made him. Yin Luofeng looked at Yi Jingxin. No matter how many old antiques there were in the Yi family, they had still managed to nurture a temperamental person like Yi Jingxin. Yin Xiao, it seems that I don't need to help Mother deal with these matters. With Father here, she won't suffer any more grievances. Yin Xiao was stunned. He lowered his head to stare at the young girl's beautiful face and promised, I won't let you suffer any grievances either. This man does not know how to use flowery words. He doesn't even know how to smile. Yet, every word that he says is so serious. Yin Xiao, when have you ever seen me suffer? Yin Luofeng smiled as she asked. Indeed, she had never suffered any grievances all these years. Meeting her, the unlucky ones would always be others. Whether it was a war of words or a fight, she had never lost to anyone. At this moment, Jun Fengling was also frightened by Yi Jingxin's sudden anger. She stared at him in surprise. In all these years, this was the first time she had seen this man lose his temper, but he was so handsome that she couldn't take her eyes off him. As long as I, Yi Jingxun, am alive, don't even think about bullying my wife and child. Yi Jingxun shot a warning glance at the antiques. As for what you just said, if I hear another word from you, I'll kill you old farts one by one, even if it means disobeying my father. Juner, let's go. Yi Jingxun held Jun Fengling tightly in his arms with a determined look on his face. From a moment he decided to return to the Yi family. He swore that he would not let his wife suffer any grievances. Now, he had done it. Treason, betraying the clan, so what? In this life, there was only one person he wanted to protect. Elder Yi Xiang, look at eldest young master. All the elders looked at Yi Xiang with resentment in their voices. Have you guys had enough? Elder Yi Xiang said calmly. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Back then, eldest young master was forced to go to Kargalik by you. Now that he's finally back and has no intention of fighting with second young master for the position, why do you have to make things difficult for a woman? Chapter 855. The voices of all the elders froze, and they were actually unable to speak a single word of rebuttal. Yi Xiang stood up slowly. If the world knew that our Yi family was making things difficult for a woman, how do you think they would look at us? His tone was as calm as ever, and there was not a trace of emotion in his turbid eyes. However, his words were like thunder, exploding in all the elders' hearts. The blood identification ceremony will be held in 3 days. Before that, I don't need to cause any trouble. With that, Yi Xiang waved his sleeves and walked out of the hall. As he left, the other elders also dispersed. Soon, only Yi Jingxian and his son were left in the hall. Father, Yi Tianlin said angrily. Yin Luofeng must have been behind this. Yi Jingxian sighed softly. I know about this. Then why did you Lin er? Yi Jingxian glanced at Yi Tianlin. Many things aren't as simple as you think. In the Yi family, besides your grandfather, Elder Yi Xiang is the most qualified. I've tried to rope this old thing in for so many years, but I still haven't been able to pull him into my camp. Yi Jingxian gritted his teeth, his eyes dark. Plus, this old thing hates fratricide the most. So, even if I believed you, I still had to teach you a lesson. Otherwise, if this old thing reported me to your grandfather, he would definitely be displeased. Yi Tianlin lowered his head. Father, I know I was wrong. You know you were wrong? Do you know what you were wrong about? I shouldn't have made that bastard my enemy. No. Yi Jingxian shook his head. You weren't wrong to go against Yi Jingqian's children. You just didn't have anything to use against them. So, if you don't have full confidence that you can kill them in one strike, it's best if you don't restrain yourself. All these years, Yi Jingxian hadn't done anything because he wasn't confident that he could kill Yi Jingxian and was afraid that Yi Jingxian would have something to use against him. What he wanted to do was to kill them in one strike. Otherwise, he would let them continue to live. Father, I understand. Yi Tianlin raised his head. Oh, right. What's with the blood test that Elder Yi Xiang mentioned just now? Hearing this, Yi Jingxian was stunned. He glanced at Yi Tianlin and sighed. There's no harm in telling you this. That bastard Yin Xiao might be Yi Jingqian's son. What? Yi Tianlin was stunned by these words. After a long while, he finally reacted and said angrily, Back then, because first uncle had no children, the position of young master of the Yi family was given to you, father. If first uncle had a son, then Yi Jingxian smiled, interrupting Yi Tianlin. That's fine. Don't forget that her son, Jun Fengling, had been expelled from the family because he couldn't cultivate. He was a complete piece of trash. Moreover, so what if the blood test succeeded? Would the Yi clan allow a wastrel to exist? At that time, his identity will not be announced to the public. He will be a member of the Yi family's bloodline in name only. Only then did Yi Tianlin relax. A dark glint flashed across his eyes. One day, he would make those people regret bullying him. Lin remember not to tell anyone about this. Otherwise, I'm afraid it'll be hard to clean up the mess, Yi Jingxian instructed solemnly. Yi Tianlin returned to his senses and replied seriously, Father, don't worry. I'll definitely keep my mouth shut. I won't say a word. Chapter 856. In a clean and cozy room, Jun Fengling gently shook the teacup in his hand. His handsome eyebrows were slightly raised as he smiled. Fenger, your tea is pretty good. I've drunk tea for so many years, but there's no tea that can compare to the one in your hand. If you like it, I can give you a few caddies. Yin Luofeng's finger lightly tapped on the table. A light flashed in his eyes. Also, mother, you and father need to do something. What's the matter? Jun Fengling looked at Yin Luofeng in surprise and asked. Yin Luofeng muttered to himself for a while. The Yi family will definitely conceal the blood test 3 days from now. But that is not my real goal. You mean? Jun Fengling seemed to understand something and looked at Yin Luofeng with a strange light in his eyes. Yin Luofeng smiled lightly. I want you all to use the forces in your hands to spread this matter. The more people know, the better. In addition, we can't bear the responsibility for this matter. We have to push it on to Yi Tianlin. Jun Fengling fell silent, and she seemed to be thinking about something. After a while, she raised her head and asked, What do you want me to do? Very simple. A sinister smile appeared on Yin Luofeng's face. Yi Tianlin has a lot of scoundrel friends. Later, get someone to disguise as someone he knows, and then get him drunk. You want him to spill the truth after drinking? Although this is possible, Yi Tianlin might not tell the truth. No. Yin Luofeng shook his head slightly. I don't care if he spits out the truth after drinking. You just need to let your people spread the news and tell the world that it was Yi Tianlin who said it after drinking. As for whether he really said it or not, it won't hinder my plan at all. Originally, she only wanted Jun Fengling to spread the news. She had no intention of framing Yi Tianlin. Who asked Yi Tianlin to run into the muzzle of a gun? Since that was the case, what harm was there in giving him another big gift? Close call. This idea was too sinister. If those old fogies in the clan thought that it was Yi Tianlin who spread the news, his days in the Yi clan would not be any better. Jun Fengling sighed. Luckily, Yin Luofeng was her daughter-in-law. If he had become her enemy, then he would unknowingly fall into her state of mind. Feng, I will do as you say. Jun Fengling smiled. Back then, those people forced me out of the Yi family. Now they want to hurt my family. How can I forgive them? Jun Fengling did not think that Yin Luofeng's actions were wrong. If you are not ruthless to your enemy, you will be the one who gets hurt. Thinking of this, Jun Fengling smiled. I'll take care of these things. You and Xiao can live in peace. If you don't want anyone to disturb you, I'll instruct them not to disturb you. Yin Luofeng paused slightly, then nodded. Okay. When she left Jun Fengling's room, she saw Yi Qi standing at the door anxiously. Yi Qi sensed her presence, and a trace of shame flashed across her face. She lowered her head and whispered, Today. Thank you. You don't need to thank me. Yin Luofeng's tone was very flat. I just can't stand seeing people humiliate my mother. I know. Yi Qi raised her head, her pretty eyes filled with determination. However, I still have to thank you. After all, I've treated you like that before. Chapter 857. Even though Yi Qi had already apologized, she was still filled with guilt when she thought of what she had done that day. She felt that she would never be able to make up for her past mistakes, even if she spent her entire life. Have you ever hurt me? Yin Luofeng glanced at Yi Qi evilly and asked. Yi Qi was stunned. I scolded you at that time, but you've never hurt me. Yin Luofeng's smile was lazy and devilish. So, I don't like you, but I don't hate you either. Yi Qi was stunned. While she was in a daze, the girl's figure had already walked forward and gradually disappeared from her sight. At that moment, Yi Qi finally understood the reason why Yin Luofeng did not let her godmother chase her out of the family. Even though she had been used by Shui Rower, she had never harmed her. So, she did not like her, but she did not hate her either. Yi Qi felt even more ashamed. She lowered her head and did not say a word. It was only when the door behind her opened that she slowly came back to her senses. Qi, don't be fooled by Feng Er's ruthlessness. That's because she won't give anyone a chance to harm her. Jun Fengling raised her hand and stroked Yi Qi's head. But if someone doesn't intend to harm her life, she won't be so heartless. Everyone said that the eldest daughter of the general's mansion was hedonistic and ruthless, but that was only because she wanted to protect herself. What's wrong with killing people to survive? If others hadn't provoked her first, why would she be so ruthless? Godmother. Yi Qi's eyes reddened as she turned to look at Jun Fengling. You should be glad that you didn't do anything to harm her life. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let you go, let alone Feng Er. Do you understand? Jun Fengling's gaze suddenly turned sharp, and her voice was no longer as gentle as it had been at the beginning. Yi Qi lowered her head again. I understand. One was a goddaughter, and the other was a daughter-in-law. How could she not know which was more important? You must be tired. Go back and rest. Jun Fengling's expression softened. In the future, you must get along well with Feng Er. She's a good child. No matter how cruel she is to her enemies, she won't use her sinister thoughts to harm her loved ones. Because of this, Jun Fengling admired Yin Luofeng even more. Yi Qi did not say another word, but she agreed with Jun Fengling's words. She could do anything to her enemies, but she would never use these people to hurt her family. The next day, a piece of news spread throughout the imperial city. It was said that Jun Fengling's illegitimate child was Yi Jingxin's biological son. All these years, No one knew of his existence because Yi Jingchun wanted to protect him. But now, the rumored illegitimate child had already returned to the Yi family and would soon hold a blood identification ceremony. As for the source of the news, it was Yi Tianlin from the Yi family who spilled it out after getting drunk. There was no need to doubt its authenticity. Thus, the entire imperial city was swept by this news. From the nobles to the commoners, there was not a single person who didn't know about it. When the news of the blood test was spread out, Elder Yi Xiang was furious and gave Yi Tianlin a good beating. Those elders who were originally in cahoots with Yi Jingxian did not dare to speak up for him. He was afraid that he would touch this misfortune. Therefore, on that day, the entire Yi family could hear Yi Tianlin's mournful cries. Chapter 858. In the luxurious royal palace, a beautiful woman was lying on a luxurious bed with her eyes closed. She was quiet and peaceful. Her face was so pale that it was almost translucent. Her skin was as delicate as a baby's. The man in the dragon robe sat beside her and held her slender hand tightly. Their fingers were interlocked, and he looked determined. "Empress, don't worry. I will definitely find that lady and treat your illness, no matter the cost." At that moment, an old man walked into the palace quickly and reported to the man in the dragon robe. "Your Majesty, I have found that lady." "Xiantian, are you serious?" The man in the dragon robe stood up immediately. His eyes were filled with joy. The old man nodded. "Yesterday, Yi Shima walked out of the restaurant with that lady. Many people saw them. Therefore, I found out that the lady is the daughter-in-law of the young madam of the Yi family." "Great. I will go and see that lady now. I will personally ask her to treat the Empress." The man in the dragon robe was overjoyed. Ever since the Empress fell ill, he had almost fallen into despair. Now that he had found a life-saving straw, he could not let it go. "Your Majesty, that lady's medical skills have yet to be tested. Therefore, I suggest that you use me as a test subject and ask her to treat me first. If she successfully treats my chronic illness, I will ask her to treat the Empress." The man in the dragon robe thought for a moment and nodded. "All right, I will do as you say. However, I have a request. If you want to find her, she cannot be at the Yi family." "Why?" The old man was stunned and asked with a frown. The man in the dragon robe said coldly, "The culprit who murdered the Empress has not been found. Therefore, before that, no one can know that I have found someone else to treat the Empress. Even if the Empress gets better, no one can know about it." The man in the dragon robe sighed. "Xiantian, in this palace, you're the only person I can trust. I can't guarantee that no one else will harm the Empress. I don't dare to risk the Empress' life." Xiantian sighed. "Your Majesty, if the Empress could hear what you have said, she would definitely be satisfied." The man in the dragon robe smiled bitterly and shook his head. "I owe the Empress too much. So, everyone says that it is the good fortune of the Empress to marry Jeanne. In reality, only Jeanne understands that marrying the Empress is Jeanne's good fortune." Xiantian wanted to say something, but at that moment, a eunuch hurried over and reported respectfully, "Your Imperial Majesty, the eldest princess has heard that the eldest young master of the Yi family has returned and is throwing a tantrum. She wants to leave the palace to find him." The man in the dragon robe frowned impatiently. "If she wants to cause a ruckus, let her. Just ignore her. Yi Jingchun has already said that he won't marry her, but she still thinks that the royal family isn't embarrassing enough, so she's shamelessly sticking to him. Also, Jun Fengling's daughter-in-law might be able to save the Empress' life. How could he allow the people of the imperial family to make trouble for them?" Thinking about it, he was still a bit worried, so he ordered, "Take the eldest princess into custody. Without my orders, she is not allowed to take a single step out of the palace." "Yes, Your Majesty." The eunuch bowed and left the palace. "Xiantian, you can leave too." The man in the dragon robe waved his hand, looking a little tired. "I want to be alone with the Empress. Before she gets better, I won't see anyone, especially the concubines." Xiantian cupped his fists and left in silence. Only the Emperor and the Empress were left in the palace. Chapter 859. Clang. As soon as Jiang Mingyao stepped out of the palace, She heard the sound of objects falling to the ground, followed by the angry roar of a woman. She was slightly startled, raised her hand to push open the door, and slowly walked into the palace. What she saw was a mess. A beautiful woman in a palace dress was standing with her hands on her hips, angrily scolding the palace maids kneeling in front of her. The palace maids were obviously scared out of their wits, and their bodies were trembling. "A bunch of trash. Get out of here immediately. I want to go out of the palace to find my lover. Who allowed you to restrict my freedom here?" The palace maid trembled and lowered her head. "Princess Royal, this is His Majesty's order. I can't do anything." The Princess Royal became more and more angry and kicked the palace maid out. Her eyes were spewing flames of anger, and she said angrily, "I don't care whose order it is. You must let me out of the palace. If you stop me again, I will immediately confiscate your 9 generations." Although the Princess Royal was spoiled, she was not weak. This kick made the palace maid's face pale, and big beads of sweat rolled down from her forehead. At this moment, a jade hand reached out from behind and supported the palace maid's body. The palace maid was startled, and when she turned around, she saw a peerless beauty that could topple a country. "Your Royal Highness, 6th Princess." The palace maid came back to her senses and hurriedly knelt in front of Jiang Mengyao. She said in fear, "I didn't know that the 6th Princess was coming. I didn't go out to greet you. Please forgive me." Jiang Mengyao waved her hand indifferently and ordered, "You can leave first." "Yes." The palace maid stood up and sighed in her heart. They were both royal princesses, but the Princess Royal was unruly and arrogant, while the 6th Princess was gentle. Even in the face of servants, she did not make things difficult. "Royal Aunt," Jiang Mengyao smiled and walked to the Princess Royal. "What made you so angry? You didn't hesitate to attack innocent palace maids?" The Princess Royal gritted her teeth, and her face was full of unwillingness. "It's because Brother Yi is back. I want to go out of the palace to find him, but my royal brother won't let me leave the palace, so I can only vent my anger on the palace maids." Even though the Princess Royal took good care of her body, she could not hide the wrinkles at the corner of her eyes. You can imagine a woman in her 40s using such a sweet tone to call Brother Yi, that kind of disgusting feeling. Jiang Mengyao furrowed her brows. "I already know about this. I also heard something else today. Jun Fengling's illegitimate son is Yi Jingqin's biological son." "What?" Jiang Mingyao's words completely provoked the eldest princess. She immediately flew into a rage. "That bitch actually is Brother Ye's son? Why should she give Brother Yi a son? With her family background and beauty, how could she compare to me?" Jiang Mengyao shook her head as she looked at the eldest princess who had fallen into madness. Yesterday, she had met Yi Jingqin and his wife at the city gate, so naturally, she had seen Jun Fengling. It had to be said that time didn't leave any traces on this woman's face. She was still as beautiful as before, and this was something that the imperial aunt couldn't compare to. The only one who could surpass Jun Fengling was her identity as the eldest princess of the imperial family. "Royal aunt," Jiang Mengyao thought for a while and said, "In 2 days, it will be the blood recognition ceremony for Jun Fengling's son. I will take you to the Yi family then, but you must promise me that no matter what, you can't act rashly." Chapter 860. The Grand Princess bit her lips and lowered her eyes, a sinister light flashing in them. "That bastard is definitely not Brother Ye's son. Jun Fengling is a hen that can't lay eggs. So, I want to see how she will end up after she fails. What if Jun Fengling gave birth to a son for Brother Yi? How could he swallow his anger for so many years?" Therefore, there was no need to think about it to know that this was the woman's plot, and she was eager to see Jun Fengling's expression after the plot was destroyed. The streets of the imperial city were bustling as usual. As Yin Luo Feng walked on the road, he could hear the discussions of the people around him. Those people were talking about nothing more than the Yi family's blood ceremony in 2 days. Getting the result he wanted, Yin Luo Feng's lips couldn't help but curl up into a smile. "If you want to buy medicinal herbs, just let Yi Jingqin go. Why do you need to go personally?" Fire curled her small mouth and said. Yin Luo Feng looked at Fire. Everything I do must be kept secret. If I let him buy medicinal herbs for me, it will be easy for the Yi family to find out. Fire's little finger pointed at her lips, her blinking eyes full of doubt. She really didn't understand what her master wanted to do. At this time, a guard suddenly appeared in front of Yin Luo Feng and respectfully clasped his fist. "Miss, our master invites you to talk about old times." Yin Luo Feng stopped and lightly looked up. "I don't have any acquaintances in Tianyan country, so naturally there's no one I can talk to." The guard's mouth twitched. If it was as his master said, it wouldn't be so easy to invite this young lady. "Miss, my master is asking you to treat her illness. She said that if you can cure her illness, she will give you 5,000-year-old medicinal herbs as a reward." 1,000-year-old medicinal herbs? Yin Luo Feng raised his evil eyebrows. 10. This. The guard wiped the sweat off his forehead and carefully raised his head to look at the second floor of the tea house. When he saw the old man make a gesture, he gritted his teeth and said, "All right, please follow me, young lady." Yin Luo Feng nodded slightly and followed behind the guard. In fact, when the guard said that he wanted her to treat her illness, she had already guessed who was looking for her this time. Apart from the old man who tried to blackmail her in the restaurant, who else would know of her medical skills? Therefore, when Yin Luo Feng saw the old man in the tea house's private room, she didn't find it strange. However, she couldn't help but look at the middle-aged man beside the old man. This middle-aged man's aura was very strong, like a general who had been on the battlefield for a long time. He was dignified and solemn, and his body was surrounded by waves of killing intent. If a normal person stood before this middle-aged man, they wouldn't even be able to raise their head. However, Yin Luo Feng sat down as if nothing had happened. His expression didn't change. "Huh!" Suddenly, the middle-aged man laughed loudly. His serious aura disappeared, and he looked at Yin Luo Feng with satisfaction. "This girl isn't bad. Her temperament is calm, just like an old friend I once knew." Yin Luo Feng gulped down a mouthful of tea. He glanced at the middle-aged man and said, "You're probably not here just to treat my illness." Xianxia chuckled. "Let me introduce myself to you. I'm Imperial Physician Xianxia of the Heavenly Cloud Nation. This is the Defender General of the Heavenly Cloud Nation, Jian Chengguan, the elder brother of the Empress. This time, we invited you here because we want you to treat the Empress." Chapter 861. Yin Luo Feng gently raised her brows. "My treatment fee is more expensive. As long as you can afford it, I will treat you. The 10,000-year-old herbs are the price for treating your illness. If you want to treat the Empress, I will not do it without at least 15. In the past, Xiantian would have been stunned by Yin Luofeng's exorbitant demands. However, with his Imperial Majesty's words, he only smiled and said, "All right, everything is negotiable. 25,000-year-old herbs may be precious, but with the Imperial family's many years of savings, they could still afford it. Since that's the case, I will diagnose your illness first." Yin Luo Feng saw that Xiantian was so straightforward and did not make things difficult for him. After all, who could refuse a 1,000-year-old herb? Furthermore, what she lacked right now were herbs. Xiantian was stunned for a moment. He was still thinking about how to get Yin Luo Feng to heal him first so that he could test her strength. He never thought that she would take the initiative to suggest it, which saved him a lot of trouble. Xiantian heaved a sigh of relief at the thought of this and smiled. "Miss, when can you start the treatment?" "Now." Yin Luofeng's voice was calm and relaxed, but it made Xiantian slightly shocked. "Do I need to prepare anything?" "No." Yin Luo Feng shook her head. "Your illness is not very serious. I only need to give you a few acupuncture needles, and with the prescription, you will be cured in no time." Xiantian was completely dumbfounded. This illness that had troubled him for so long was actually saying that it was not a serious problem? "Well, if it's the silver needles, do you want me to specially make them for you?" Xiantian asked worriedly. "There's no need. My own is enough." Yin Luo Feng then took out the silver needles from her space ring. Her expression was no longer as calm and relaxed as before. Instead, it was focused and serious. "Your illness is not a serious problem. It's just that because you have been injured before, the blood in your brain has been blocked by a hidden force. Your blood vessels are not flowing properly, which is why you have fallen into a coma. It's a good thing that you are quite powerful. After you fall into a coma, the power in your body will automatically break through the blockage and wake you up. Yin Luofeng took out a silver needle from his cloth bag to disinfect it as he explained to Xianxia. However, your injuries haven't been completely cured. If this continues for too long, you'll lose your life in the worst-case scenario and become an idiot in the best-case scenario. Hearing the girl's words, Xianxia felt his hair stand on end. He had never imagined that his illness would be so serious. If he hadn't been lucky enough to meet Yin Luofeng, perhaps one day, he would have fainted and never woken up again. Yin Luofeng gripped the silver needle tightly and walked behind the old man. The silver needle in her hand gently landed on the acupuncture point on his head. She pinched it lightly, and, as the silver needle moved, a trace of spiritual power flowed into his body. Actually, Yin Luofeng could have cured Xianxia in the restaurant yesterday, but she didn't do so. After all, she didn't know Xianxia at all, so why would she save a stranger? That was why she had only awakened Xianxia that day. She had not done anything else. As the spiritual energy flowed into Xianxia's mind, he felt his entire body relax. It was as if there was a clear stream that was breaking through the hidden force that was blocking his blood vessels. Awesome. Xianxia could not help but cry out. All these years, aside from falling into a coma, he had also suffered from headaches. Chapter 862. Only now did he feel an unprecedented sense of exhilaration. Jianxingwen's eyes slowly lit up. If this lady has the ability to cure Xianxia, does that mean that my little sister will be able to wake up as well? After a long pause, Yin Luofeng withdrew her silver needles and carefully wrapped them in a cloth bag. She then said without raising her head, "I've used the needles to force the hidden force out of your body. However, your body is too weak. I have a prescription here. Go back and brew the medicine. Take it for half a month, and you'll be completely healed." Tianxin blinked and stared at Yin Luofeng in disbelief. That's it. Yin Luofeng's lips curled into a smile, and she glanced at him evilly. What else do you want? Do you want me to give you a few more needles before you can be at ease? No, that's not it. Cold sweat trickled down Xianxia's forehead as he smiled embarrassedly. I'm just in disbelief. After all, this illness has been with me for many years. That's why I want to confirm if I've really recovered. Yin Luofeng slowly nodded at the old man's expectant gaze. Boom! It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck Xianxia's head. After a long pause, a wave of excitement spread from his heart, and he could not help but burst into laughter. It's done. I've really recovered. As he laughed, a stream of tears rolled down his cheeks. In the end, he actually leaned on the table and began to sob. Jianxingwen patted Xianxia's shoulder and sighed gently. Xianxia had been troubled by this illness for so many years. Now that he had finally recovered, how could he not be excited? Miss, I never thought that you would achieve so much at such a young age. The younger generation will surely surpass us in time. Jianxingwen smiled at Yin Luofeng. May I know your name, miss? Yin Luofeng paused for a moment. This time, she did not give a fake name and answered truthfully, Yin Luofeng. In the imperial city, even if she had given a fake name, Jianxingwen would still be able to find out her background based on his power. Yin Luofeng? Why does this name sound so familiar? Jianxingwen was stunned and frowned. After a while, he carefully sized up Yin Luofeng and asked, Are you from the Roaring Dragon mainland? Vigilance flashed across Yin Luofeng's eyes. Who are you? Jianxingwen immediately stood up and said in an excited voice, Are you really from the Roaring Dragon continent? Are Yin Yang and Bai Ling your parents? Xianxia is your second uncle? Hearing this, Yin Luofeng narrowed her eyes. An evil light flashed in her black pupils, and her voice was filled with danger. Who the hell are you? Are you really little Luo, crazy? Jianxingwen was very emotional. I didn't expect you to have grown so much after not seeing you for more than 10 years. When Uncle Jian saw you, You were still a 3 or 4-year-old little girl. Seeing that Yin Luofeng still hadn't remembered, Jian Chengwen smiled faintly. That's true. You didn't remember anything in the past. So how could you remember me? More than 10 years ago, I went to the resort to protect the queen, but we were attacked. In a panic, we broke into the forest of no return and entered the roaring dragon continent through the forest of no return. It was also at that time that I met your parents. Yun Yang and I were both generals, so it was natural that we felt like old friends at first sight. Bai Ling and the Empress also became bosom friends. It was a pity that the Empress and I were more sensitive back then, so we couldn't tell Brother Yun Yang the truth. Chapter 863. I still remember that Brother Yun Yang and I had gone to the Yun family and met you. I didn't expect that the little girl who was like a little bun back then would have grown up so much after not seeing you for more than a decade. Right, we're your parents. I haven't seen them for so many years. How are they? Jian Chengwen patted Yun Luofeng's head. The initial sternness in his eyes was replaced by warmth. In this world, there was only one person who could be considered a confidant by him. It was a pity that they had been lucky enough not to encounter any ferocious spiritual beasts when they entered the forest of no return. They did not have the courage to try again. That was why they could not go to the roaring dragon continent to look for his confidant and good friend all these years. You are Uncle Jian? Fragmented images flashed through Yun Luofeng's mind. It was a pity that these images belonged to the previous owner of this body and not her. Girl, you still remember your uncle. Oh right, didn't your parents come with you? I haven't seen Brother Yun Yang for a long time. Jian Chengwen smiled. Honestly, there aren't many people I admire all these years. Brother Yun Yang is the only one. I've never forgotten him all these years. The Empress often talks about your mother as well. Yin Luofeng glanced at the excited Jian Chengwen and said, My parents have passed away. Jian Chengwen's excited expression froze. He lowered his head in shock. What did you say? Brother Yun Yang has passed away? How is this possible? They're already dead, not long after you left. The girl's words dealt a heavy blow to Jian Chengwen. He staggered and almost fell to the ground. His handsome face was pale and his eyes were filled with pain. What happened? He gritted his teeth and said hatefully, Who killed my brother? Yin Luofeng lowered his gaze and told Jian Chengwen everything that had happened in the past. After listening to Yin Luofeng's narration, Jian Chengwen was furious. What a muddle-headed and tyrannical emperor. If I had known, I would have persuaded Brother Yun Yang to return to the Tianyan Empire with me. Even if I had to give him the position of general, it would be better than him working for such an emperor. After saying this angrily, Jian Chengwen looked at Yin Luofeng with pity. Xiao Luofeng, you've suffered all these years. It's all my fault. I didn't know the grievances you've suffered all these years. Otherwise, I would have gone back to the roaring dragon continent to avenge my brother. Yin Luofeng's eyes glinted maliciously. I've asked the person who killed them to accompany them. I believe they will get along well there. She emphasized the last few words, and a trace of coldness seeped through her beautiful and languid smile. Thinking of Yun Yang and his wife's death, Jian Chengwen's brows darkened, his heart filled with regret. If he had left a few months later, perhaps the couple would not have died so tragically. In this matter, he had an unshirkable responsibility. Little Luofeng, in this Tianyan nation, Uncle Jian's power is still very great. If someone bullies you, you can come and tell Uncle Jian. Uncle Jian will immediately bring troops to wipe out his family. His brother's death could not be redeemed, so he had to protect his brother's only daughter no matter what. He would not allow anyone to bully her. Yun Luofeng smiled, but his eyes were filled with arrogance. I've always been the one to bully others. I've never been bullied by anyone. Jian Chengwen was stunned for a moment before he burst out laughing. Your brother Yun Yang's daughter indeed. I'm relieved. Chapter 864. Let's go. Yun Luofeng shrugged. It's getting late. I'll go to the palace with you to treat the Empress first. I still have other things to do. Jian Chengwen looked at her curiously. What other things are you going to do? Let me know. I'll get someone to help you. Yin Luofeng thought for a moment and said, I'm going to buy some medicinal herbs. Medicinal herbs? The National Treasury has plenty of them. I'll ask His Majesty later to let you pick the herbs from the National Treasury so you don't have to buy them from the pharmacy. Thank you. Yun Luofeng did not stand on ceremony with Jian Chengwen, accepting his kindness with a peace of mind. Jian Chengwen sighed. If Brother Yunyang sees your achievements today, he'll be proud of you. Let's go. Follow me to the palace first. Your Aunt Shui is still unconscious. If she wakes up and sees you, she'll be very excited. The corners of Jian Chengwen's lips curled up into a smile, perhaps recalling the time when they were in the Dragon Roar mainland. It was a pity that time had passed and his old friend was long gone. Deep in the palace, in the high towers, who knew how many women's youth had been buried here and how many women's lives had been ruined by mutual deception. At this moment, in the Empress' bedroom, the man in dragon robes sat tiredly by the bed, still holding the lady's hand tightly, not even willing to blink. Perhaps it was because he had not slept for days. The man's eyes were bloodshot, looking very tired. Suddenly, a eunuch came in to report, "Your Majesty, Lord Xiantian and the general are waiting outside." Xiantian is back. The man's eyes shone as he stood up quickly. Did he bring someone back? Your Majesty, there's a young lady with Lord Xiantian. The eunuch reported respectfully with his head lowered. The man in dragon robes was excited, his voice trembling uncontrollably. Quick, invite them in. Yes, Your Majesty. The eunuch bowed and retreated. Not long after, Xiantian and Jian Chengwen pushed open the door and entered. Beside them was a peerlessly beautiful young girl. The young lady was dressed in white, untainted by even a speck of dust. Her brows were filled with arrogance. However, the man in the dragon robe could sense a sinister and awe-inspiring aura from this young girl. The emperor recovered quickly and asked, Xiantian, is this young lady the physician you invited? Xiantian nodded. Yes, Your Majesty, this official is talking about her. Although Xiantian had told him that the physician was very young and had asked him to be mentally prepared, the emperor did not expect her to be this young. The emperor trusted Xiantian and asked respectfully, Master, I don't know if the empress's illness can be cured. Yin Luofeng silently walked to the emperor's side. His gaze swept over the empress, and he couldn't help but frown. Jian Chengwen's heart skipped a beat. Little Luofeng, is your Aunt Shui's illness incurable? The emperor was still wondering how Jian Chengwen had addressed Yin Luofeng, but when he heard what Jian Chengwen said next, he was scared out of his wits, and his face turned pale. She's been poisoned. Yin Luofeng relaxed his brows. After being poisoned by this poison, the skin all over her body will become like that of a baby. However, if this skin is accidentally touched, it will break. She's been poisoned. Yin Luofeng paused before he continued. She's been poisoned by another kind of poison. No, this isn't poison. It's a kind of venomous spell. Those who have been poisoned by it will become more and more drowsy until they never wake up. Hence, the Empress's illness is a little troublesome. Chapter 865. The Emperor clutched his head in pain and stared painfully at the beautiful woman on the bed. I should have accepted my fate a long time ago. The Empress's illness cannot be cured. How can I place my hopes on her? Jian Chengwen also fell silent. At first, when he saw that Yin Luofeng could easily cure Tianxian, he naturally placed great hope in her. But now he had fallen into despair. Even so, Jian Chengwen was afraid that Yin Luofeng would feel guilty and patted her shoulder. Xiao Luofeng, you've tried your best. Your Aunt Shui, this is her fate. The last sentence seemed to use up all of Jian Chengwen's strength. It made him weak and powerless, as if he could collapse to the ground at any time. Yin Luofeng glanced at him. Did I say that I can't cure the Empress? Jian Chengwen was stunned. He did not understand what Yin Luofeng meant. Even the Emperor, who was squatting at the head of the bed, could not help but raise his head to look at the beautiful young woman standing in the palace. You mean, her illness is a bit troublesome, but it's not incurable. Yin Luofeng stroked her chin with a serious expression. However, I'm afraid that some of the herbs I need to cure her will be difficult to find. The Emperor immediately stood up. His originally ashen face instantly recovered. He hurried forward, his expression excited. As long as you can cure the Empress, I will definitely get those herbs for you. Using dragon blood as a guide and spirit herbs as a prescription, the goo worm in her body can be removed. I have spirit herbs, but dragon blood is not so easy to obtain. Dragon blood? The emperor was stunned and said hesitantly, I remember that a few years ago, when the foreign countries offered tribute, there was a treasure called dragon blood. I don't know if this dragon blood will work. As long as it's dragon blood, it will work. That's great. The emperor's gloomy expression changed. His entire person became radiant. He shouted and said, Someone, go to the national treasury and bring the dragon blood. Yes, your majesty. A eunuch joined his fists and left the palace. However, just as everyone was waiting for the dragon blood, a cold voice came from outside the palace. Move, I want to see my father. Your Highness, His Majesty has ordered that no one is allowed to enter the Empress's palace for the time being. What? Are you trying to stop me? Outside the door, the woman's voice carried a hint of sarcasm. Don't think that I don't know that Imperial Father has summoned a woman from somewhere. I just want to see who that woman is. She can confuse Father and let Father bring her into the Empress's bedroom. Jiang Mingyao's eyes darkened as a cold glint flashed across her eyes. In the Imperial Palace, even though the sixth princess, Jiang Mingyao, was arrogant, she was also someone who was not easily angered. But now, she completely disregarded her reputation and wanted to see the woman who had been summoned into the palace. Unfortunately, she was so angry not for the Empress, but for her mother who had been alone for many years. She had originally thought that because she had worked so hard for the Empress' illness, Fu Huang would see her hard work and dote on her mother a bit more. She hadn't thought that what she had been waiting for was Fu Huang summoning a woman into the palace. In particular, he had brought this woman into the Empress's bedroom. Could it be because the Empress was dying and Father wanted to make this woman the Empress? She would never allow such a thing to happen. Chapter 866. Let her come in. At this moment, a hoarse voice rang out from within the bedroom. The voice was slightly angry and seemed ready to explode. Jiang Mingyao couldn't care less. She pushed the door open and walked into the bedroom. Father. Jiang Mingyao bowed as she stepped into the bedroom. When she lifted her head, her eyes fell on a figure dressed in white. Because the young girl's back was facing her, she couldn't see her face clearly. But the sight of her back was breathtaking. Mingyao, the Empress is bedridden. What are you doing shouting outside? The Emperor's eyes darkened as he asked coldly. Jiang Mingyao scoffed. Father, you know that the Empress is ill. Then why did you bring this woman to the Empress' bedside? Are you trying to provoke the Empress so that she dies early? How dare you? The Emperor was enraged and slammed his palm on the table. Who allowed you to shout at me and curse the Empress? Jiang Mingyao, I thought you were my most sensible daughter. I didn't expect you to be so willful and impulsive. You've disappointed me. Disappointed? Jiang Mingyao smiled coldly and looked at the Emperor fearlessly. Father, all these years you and the Empress have been deeply in love. Have you ever thought about my mother, who has been alone every day and night, who in the imperial city can compete with the Empress for the Empress' favor? But now, the Empress is ill and you want a concubine. Aren't your actions muddle-headed and tyrannical? The Emperor's expression changed. He slapped Jiang Mingyao and shouted angrily, Apologize to her immediately. Jiang Mingyao's lips curled into a mocking smile. She walked quickly towards Yun Luofeng. I'd like to see who this woman is to make me, a father who is deeply in love with the Empress, fall in love with her to such an extent. In the beginning, the Emperor didn't announce Yun Luofeng's identity in order to prevent others from knowing that he had come to the Imperial Palace to treat the Empress' illness. Therefore, the people in the Imperial Palace assumed that she was the woman the Emperor had summoned. Stop! Seeing that Jiang Mingyao was about to walk to Yun Luofeng's side, suddenly, a strong body flashed behind her and tightly pressed down on her shoulder. His expression was dark. Sixth Princess, you are too rude. This lady is not His Majesty's woman. She is a doctor from the common people. His Majesty invited her to treat the Empress. Jian Chengwen stared coldly at Jiang Mingyao's back and said coldly, "In addition, this lady doesn't like others to see her face. If you go against her wishes, and she doesn't treat the Empress out of anger, can you bear the consequences?" How could he not understand that even if the Empress recovered, the Emperor would not announce this matter to the public? That was why he had not announced Yin Luofeng's identity. But over the past few days, His Majesty had invited countless doctors to treat him, but in the end, they all returned with no results. Therefore, even if Yin Luofeng cured the Empress, they could still lie to the public that she had failed. As for not letting Jiang Mingyao see Yin Luofeng, it was also out of consideration for Yin Luofeng. He was afraid that it would bring her trouble. Indeed, after hearing Jian Xingwen's words, Jiang Mingyao stopped in her tracks and did not dare to act blindly without thinking. Even so, she gritted her teeth and said, "So many doctors in the imperial palace have been unable to treat the Empress. How could a little girl like her succeed? Imperial father, General, don't be fooled by her." In reality, the Emperor had found many highly respected doctors from the outside. In front of those doctors, Jiang Mingyao did not speak nonsense. Chapter 867. Now, she only felt that this woman must be very young from her back. And Jiang Mingyao had always believed that no one in the younger generation could surpass her in medical skills. How could this girl do something that she couldn't do? "Father, believe me, I have the confidence to cure the Empress. Just give me time, and I will definitely do it." "Enough." The Emperor's face turned cold, and he said sternly, "Since you claim to be able to cure the Empress, then let me ask you, what illness does the Empress have?" Jiang Mingyao's voice faltered. "I don't know, but I'm still young. I can continue to learn. One day I will—" "You're young?" "You are indeed young, but the Empress can't wait." The Emperor smiled coldly and waved his hand. "If you have nothing else, leave first. Don't interfere with the Empress treatment." Jiang Mingyao lowered her eyes slightly. "Yes, father." After saying this, she turned to leave, but before she left, she glanced coldly at Yin Luofeng. For more than 20 years, medical skills were what she was most proud of. She thought that she was gifted, and even father had to coax her before she dared to speak to him in such a tone. But now, father would rather believe a liar than give her a chance. Jiang Mingyao gritted her teeth and pushed the door open resolutely. One day, father would understand that no one in the same generation could surpass her in medical skills. Anyone who bragged about their medical skills was a swindler. Not long after Jiang Mingyao left, a eunuch rushed in with a porcelain bottle. He reported respectfully, "Your Majesty, the dragon blood is here. Put the dragon blood down. You may leave." The Emperor nodded slightly and said indifferently, "Yes, Your Majesty." The eunuch bowed and left. In the entire palace, other than the Emperor and the Empress, there were only Yin Luofeng and a few others. Let's begin. Yin Luofeng took the porcelain bottle and carefully opened it. In an instant, bright red blood flowed in the porcelain bottle. It was like a red gemstone with a sparkling luster. Yin Luofeng didn't hesitate and took out a spirit herb from her space ring. Then, she soaked the spirit herb in the dragon blood. The green spirit grass sank into the dragon blood and was instantly dyed red like blood. It was bewitching and translucent. "Let her take it." Yin Luofeng handed the spirit grass, stained with dragon blood, to Jian Chengwen and said. Jian Chengwen nodded, took the spirit grass, and walked to the Empress. He was still hesitating on how to feed her. Unexpectedly, when the spiritual grass was placed next to the Empress's lips, it became nimble and entered her mouth in an instant, giving him a fright. "That's it." Jian Xingwen blinked and looked at Yin Luofeng doubtfully. Yin Luofeng smiled. After this spirit grass was stained with the dragon's blood, it became sentient. "In another hour, the queen's poison will be cured. I'll be leaving first." "All right." Jian Xingwen raised his lips slightly. "Xiao Luofeng, I'll send someone to deliver the medicinal herbs that you deserve to you." Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes. "I'll get Yishima to collect the herbs for me. Also, you don't need the dragon blood anymore. Just give it to me. Miss Yin, if you like it, then take it." "Haha." The emperor was obviously in a good mood and basically agreed to all requests. Moreover, just based on the fact that Yin Luofeng had cured the empress, he wouldn't reject a request. Chapter 868. However, Miss Yin, the empress will definitely want to thank you personally when she wakes up. Aren't you going to wait for a while? No. Yin Luofeng shook her head. I still have something to do. Also, before I leave, I'll give you a prescription. Remember to let the empress take it. By then, her translucent complexion will improve. Furthermore, this prescription has the effect of nourishing the body. The empress's body doesn't seem to be very well. If she doesn't recover, she will never be able to have children. The emperor was stunned. He looked at Yin Luofeng in shock. There was a hint of nervousness in his voice. Do you mean that the empress can still have children? Yin Luofeng nodded gently. Her body is weak, causing her infertility. If she takes good care of it, she can still have children. The empress's infertility was different from Jun Fengling's. Jun Fengling had been injured many years ago, while the empress's body was weak. On top of that, she was depressed, causing her infertility. Hence, the treatment methods for both parties were different. Also, Yin Luofeng paused and said, my method only treats the symptoms and not the root cause. If you want the empress to recover completely, you can't make her sad again. First, the harem must be disbanded. The emperor fell silent. He looked at the woman lying on the bed, and a trace of heartache appeared in his eyes. I understand what you mean. Once I've resolved this crisis, I'll disband the harem. Xianxia was stunned. He wanted to persuade the emperor, but after seeing the determination in the emperor's eyes, he swallowed his words and smiled helplessly. Girl, you're actually persuading His Majesty to disband the harem. When that happens, will the women in the harem be able to leave safely? Yin Lufei glanced at him. As long as he wants to do it, he can definitely do it. Xianxia smiled bitterly and shook his head. Forget it. If His Majesty really wants to disband the harem, as an official, I can only help him. Yin Luofeng smiled and slowly walked out of the door. Seeing her leaving figure, Jian Chengwen hurriedly cupped his fists at the emperor. Your Majesty, I'm going to send Xiao Luofeng off. Then, without waiting for the emperor's approval, he turned and walked out. Outside the bedchamber, Jian Chengwen stared at the young girl in front of him and said with a smile, Xiao Luofeng, thank you so much this time. The corners of Yin Luofeng's lips curled up. I accepted the reward. Saving someone is something I should do. Why do you need to thank me? No, I'm not talking about that. Jian Chengwen shook his head. I'm talking about you persuading Her Majesty to disband the harem. Perhaps all these years my sister did not say a word or complain, but only I know that every time His Majesty gave birth to someone else, she would secretly cry until dawn. It was because she was so sad that she could not bear children. Yin Luofeng stopped in her tracks. She did not look back. She lifted her eyes slightly and looked at the azure sky. Uncle Jian, you are the brother that my father has been talking about ever since he died. The Empress used to be good friends with my mother, so I will help you. The girl's expression was lazy, and the smile on her lips was lazy and devilish. It's getting late. I should leave now. I'll visit the Empress when I have time in a few days. Jian Chengwen laughed out loud. Okay, I'll send you out. After Yin Luofeng returned from the palace, she locked herself in her room and ordered milk tea to stand guard outside. Then, she entered the divine grimoire space. Xiao Imo, what's the use of this dragon blood? You want me to take it back? Chapter 869. Under the dusky sky. Lilimo raised his head and looked at Yin Luofeng. His lips curled up as he said in an aggrieved manner, Master, the moment you arrived, you asked about the dragon blood. You didn't even hug me. I want Master to hug me. Yin Luofeng's face darkened. Men and women should be different. Don't you know that? But I'm only a child. Yin Luofeng glanced at little Mo and said mercilessly, You're indeed a child who's even older than my ancestor. Little Mo's face fell. Just as he was about to say something, the young girl's voice rang out again. I've heard that every part of a dragon's body is a treasure and its blood is a tonic that humans yearn for. Unfortunately, the power of the dragon's blood is too overbearing. If you drink it like tea, your body will explode immediately. She had used the dragon's blood to treat the empress. She had dipped it in a spiritual herb and did not feed it to her directly. If she drank the dragon's blood directly, her body would explode and she would die. That's for others. Little Mo's eyes flashed. I have a way for you to consume the dragon's blood, master. Although the dragon's blood cannot help you break through to the Venerable One, it can help you reach the peak of a high-level heavenly spirit warrior. Also, Little Mo paused. The dragon's blood can make your body very tough. You'll be unharmed even when you face a Venerable One's attack. Venerable One. Yin Luofeng held his breath. Does Little Mo mean that as long as I consume the dragon's blood, I'll be only one step away from becoming a Venerable One? Little Mo, what should I do to consume the dragon's blood? Hearing this, Little Mo's expression turned serious. I'll be by your side to help you consume the dragon's blood. However, you can't leave during this time. Yin Luofeng pondered for a moment. How long will it take? Yin Zhao's blood identification ceremony will take place in 2 days. I must leave the divine grimoire space then. Master, don't worry. I'll definitely make it. Even if I can't, I'll wake you up then. Little Mo was all smiles as he rubbed his fists excitedly. He could already see the scene of Yin Luofeng and Yun Xiao cultivating together. As long as Yin Luofeng consumes the dragon's blood, that day would come closer 2 days later. Many disciples of the Yi clan were summoned to the Yi clan's sacrificial ground. They surrounded the sacrificial ground and discussed animatedly. Yi Jingxian sneered as he looked at Yi Jingxian and his wife. His lips curled into a mocking smile. Big brother, what's wrong? Why hasn't your son come out? Could it be that he's really the illegitimate child of sister-in-law and another man? He's afraid of embarrassing himself here, so he's hiding? Yi Jingxian frowned and glanced at him coldly. The ceremony hasn't started yet. Why are you in such a hurry? As for whether little Xiao is my son or not, we'll find out later. Yi Jingxuan's expression became even more mocking. Big brother, I'm doing this for your own good. I'm afraid that you'll lose face on the spot. Besides, I've long heard that Yun Xiao is a good-for-nothing. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been swept out of that wild man's family back then. After all, the Roaring Dragon mainland and the No-Return mainland were separated by the Forest of No-Return. Hence, Yi Jingxian was completely unaware of Yun Xiao's situation in the Roaring Dragon mainland. As for the matter of Yun Xiao being expelled from the family, he had accidentally overheard it when Jun Fengling and Yi Jingxian were having a private conversation. Chapter 870. Her Royal Highness, the sixth princess, has arrived. A sharp voice pierced through the sky, silencing the noisy crowd in an instant. When the crowd turned to look, they saw a palanquin being carried in by guards. A peerlessly beautiful woman was seated in the palanquin. She was dressed in a light yellow, scholarly robe and looked elegant and regal. She looked down on the crowd from high above. Mengyao, you're here? Yi Tianwen's eyes lit up, and he quickly walked towards Jiang Mengyao. He reached out his hand, and his handsome face lit up with a warm smile. Compared to the gloomy Yi Tianwen of the past, he now looked like an elegant young master. His entire being exuded a strong charm. Jiang Mingyao's expression softened, and she gently placed her wrist on the back of Yi Tianwen's hand. She then used his strength to leap off the palanquin and landed firmly next to him. Greetings, Your Royal Highness. Everyone in the sacrificial ground fell to their knees at the sight of Jiang Mengyao's appearance. Hence, Yi Jingxian and Jun Fengling stood out from the crowd. Brother Ye. Just then, a woman dressed as a palace maid charged towards Yi Jingxian in a frenzy. Her voice was filled with unparalleled excitement as she quickly ran towards Yi Jingxian. Yi Jingxian was shocked when he heard the woman's sharp voice. He then saw a familiar face, and his face darkened. Eldest princess, what are you doing here? He had long heard that the eldest princess had been placed under house arrest by His Imperial Majesty. He never thought that she would mix in with the palace maids and follow Jiang Mengyao out of the palace. Brother Ye, you're finally back. The eldest princess's eyes filled with tears. Do you know how long I've waited for you here? For your sake, I had rejected my imperial brother's offer to marry me, all for the sake of waiting for you. Yi Jingchun stumbled back, afraid that the eldest princess's spittle would splash on his face. A sense of disgust flashed across his gentle eyes. Eldest princess, please conduct yourself with dignity. Conduct myself with dignity? That word thoroughly angered the eldest princess. Her face filled with rage. You're asking me to conduct myself with dignity? No matter how frivolous I am, I'm still better than that woman next to you. She had dared to hook her arm around your arm in public. Isn't she afraid of being gossiped about? The eldest princess glared at Jun Fengling and gritted her teeth. If it weren't for this woman, she would be Brother Ye's wife. It was she who snatched her beloved Brother Yi away. Unfortunately, the Grand Princess was deceiving herself. Even if Jun Fengling hadn't appeared, Yi Jingchun wouldn't have married her. Eldest Princess, are you joking? Yi Jingchun sneered. Jun is my wife. No matter what she does, it's only right. How is she being frivolous? As for you, Princess Royal, an unmarried girl chasing after a married man, do you still have any sense of shame? Brother Yi, are you scolding me? Are you scolding me because of this woman? The eldest princess pointed at Jun Fengling and said angrily, I'll kill this woman now. Let's see how you're going to protect her. Men, capture Jun Fengling and tear him to pieces. Hearing the Grand Princess's words, the guards looked at each other in dismay. However, seeing that Jiang Mingyao did not stop the Grand Princess, they gathered their courage and stepped forward. The eldest princess lifted her chin proudly. Jun Fengling, you're a promiscuous slut. How dare you steal someone else's man? If you hadn't seduced Brother Yi, he wouldn't have abandoned me to marry you. Chapter 871. Back then, Yi Jingchun had a lot of power in the Yi family. Hence, no matter how unruly and willful the eldest princess was, she had to weigh the power in her hands. Now, the position of the young master of the Yi family belonged to the second young master. She believed that the Yi family would not hold it against her for merely killing a woman. Brother Yi, Jun Fengling raised her hand and stopped Yi Jingchun. She smiled, and a sharp glint flashed across her eyes. Leave this to me. Yi Jingchun was stunned. He retracted his hand and nodded. All right. Jun Fengling's smile deepened, but it did not reach her eyes. Her eyes were dark. You want to steal my man? The eldest princess scoffed. Brother Yi is mine. You're the one who stole him, you shameless slut. You're the one who stole someone else's man. Slap. As soon as the eldest princess finished speaking, the crowd saw a sharp gust of wind suddenly flash by. Immediately after, the figure of the woman in red had already appeared in front of the eldest princess. The crisp sound of a slap rang out, silencing the entire sacrificial ground. Do you really think that I tolerated you back then because I was afraid of you? I, Jun Fengling, have never been afraid of anyone. If it wasn't for Brother Yi, I would have sent you to hell 10 years ago. The eldest princess covered her face and glared at Jun Fengling with hatred. She gritted her teeth. What are you standing there for? This woman dared to touch me. She's guilty of having her entire family executed. Kill her immediately. And that bastard of hers, he deserves to die too. Let's see who dares to touch her. Seeing the guards surrounding Jun Fengling, Yi Jingchun shouted and stood in front of Jun Fengling, his eyes filled with murderous intent as he scanned the surroundings. Enough. At that moment, Jiang Mingyao, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. Imperial Aunt, we're here to witness the blood identification ceremony. We're not here for you to cause trouble. The eldest princess was a little fearful of her niece. So, after hearing her words, no matter how unwilling she was, she could only swallow it down. Brother Yi, I know that you must have been bewitched by this woman. One day, you'll regret your choice. Jiang Mingyao no longer cared about this farce. She turned to Yi Tianwen and asked, Tianwen, why hasn't the blood test ceremony started yet? Yi Tianwen lowered his eyes, concealing the sinister look in his eyes. After a long while, he raised his head to look at Jiang Mingyao and spoke in a gentle voice. I'm not sure either. Yin Xiao hasn't arrived yet, and I don't know what has happened to cause him to be so afraid of this blood test. In other words, Yin Xiao was afraid, so she didn't come to test her blood. As for the reason why they were afraid, other than him being a fake descendant of the Yi family, what else could it be? Sure enough, Jiang Mingyao believed Yi Tianwen's words. She sneered. It seems that the young master of the Yi clan is only so. To think that he would be deceived by a woman. That kid is not even of your bloodline. What's funny is that you would give up the princess for such a woman. What a pity. Yi Jingchen narrowed his eyes and sneered. It's not the official time yet. How do you know that little Xiao won't be coming? Furthermore, if my father doesn't appear, how can the ceremony begin? Just as Yi Jingchen finished speaking, a languid laughter filled the air, causing the noisy, sacrificial ground to become silent for a moment. Chapter 872. Father, Mother, Yin Xiao and I were too tired last night, so we overslept. Are we late? It was impossible for anyone not to understand the meaning behind the word too tiring. For a moment, no one could find an excuse to refute them. Yin Luofeng had indeed woken up late. By the time she left the divine grimoire, it was already morning, but he still had to brew the medicine for Yun Xiao. The goal was to allow him to fuse with any blood type. That was why she had come late. Looking at Yin Luofeng and Yun Xiao, Jun Fengling's expression finally softened. She smiled. It's fine if you come a little late so that I can have a grandchild as soon as possible. Everyone's expression changed as they looked at Jun Fengling accusingly. Sister-in-law, Yi Jingxuan's eyes darkened as he said coldly, Your daughter-in-law is too rude. Not only does she not bow to the princess, she's also so arrogant towards us elders. Shouldn't you discipline her a little? Jun Fengling glanced at Yi Jingxian coldly. My daughter-in-law takes after my personality. No matter how arrogant and rude she is, it's because I condone her. What can you do to us? Yi Jingxuan's expression darkened instantly. All these years, Jun Fengling had swallowed humiliation in the Yi family, so much so that he had forgotten this woman's insolent personality. Want her to discipline her daughter-in-law? That was undoubtedly a fool's dream. Women should be more obedient. Seeing that he could not convince Jun Fengling, Yi Jingxian turned to Yun Xiao. If you want to be a member of the Yi family, you must discipline your wife. How is a man who can't even discipline a woman different from a good-for-nothing? Yun Xiao's expression was cold and expressionless. Only useless men flaunt their power in front of their wives. What he meant was that only useless men would clamor at their wives. A truly powerful man would do his best to protect his wife and vent all of his anger on his enemies. Yi Jingxuan's expression grew uglier. Was this fellow calling him useless? In his opinion, women were accessories to men. No matter how strong and outstanding a woman was, she was nothing more than that. Is everyone here? Suddenly, an old figure appeared in the sky. Not long after, an old man appeared in the sky. His white robes fluttered in the wind as he stood in midair. His gaze was calm as he scanned the crowd. When his gaze landed on Yi Jingxuan, he paused for a moment before he turned away as though nothing had happened. Since everyone is here, let's start the blood test. Yes, Patriarch. Hearing this, someone immediately went to prepare. After a while, that person came back with a basin of water and placed it on the altar. Yi Jingxuan seemed to have sensed the nervousness in Jun Fengling's heart. He held her hand tightly, giving her courage. Then, he slowly walked towards the altar. Wait for me. Yin Xiao leaned over to Yin Luofeng's side. I'll be back soon. With that, he turned around and walked to the altar in a few steps. Yi Jingxuan's blood dripped into the basin of water, creating a layer of ripples on the surface. At the same time, Yin Xiao also dripped a drop of blood expressionlessly, dyeing the surface of the water red. Initially, the two drops of blood were scattered in different directions. But very quickly, the two drops of blood merged in front of everyone's eyes. That's right. They had indeed merged in front of everyone's eyes. Gasp! Everyone gasped. Perhaps they hadn't thought that Jun Fengling's illegitimate son was really Yi Jingxuan's son. Chapter 873. At this time, Jun Fengling was relieved. Although she didn't know what was going on, she understood that it was definitely related to Yin Luofeng. The blood test has been successful. Yin Xiao is indeed the blood of our Yi family. The old man looked at Yi Jingchun with a complicated expression. He sighed softly and announced his decision. The quiet crowd finally burst into an uproar at this moment. Everyone started discussing below the stage, and the topic of their discussion revolved around Xianxia. In everyone's eyes, Jun Fengling was no longer a promiscuous woman, and Yi Jingchun was no longer a green-haired tortoise. But now, they had a new topic. Xianxia was a good-for-nothing. A piece of trash who had been kicked out of the clan was actually a member of the Yi clan. This made the Yi clan members unable to accept it for a while. Patriarch, just as everyone was discussing, Yi Xiang, who had been silent the whole time, walked out and cupped his fists respectfully. Since he is indeed of the Yi clan's bloodline, he should be recorded in the family tree and change his surname to Yi. Yi Xiang said this for Yi Jingchun's sake. All these years, the Yi family owed him too much. No matter what, he had to fight for the greatest benefits for his son. My surname is Yun. I am a member of the Yun family. Right after Yi Xiang finished speaking, a cold voice suddenly sounded out, causing another uproar. Elder Yi Xiang wanted him to return to the Yi clan, but he actually refused? Where did this trash get his courage from? Yi Xiang suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a deep voice, "Young Master Xiao, you are the Yi family's bloodline. How could you be a member of the Yun family?" The man's expression was as cold as ever, but his tone was extremely firm. "I'm already married to Feng, so I'm a member of the Yun family." He didn't say marry, but marry. From this, one could see the weight of Yun Luofeng in his heart. Impudent. Yi Jingxuan's face darkened as he shouted, "Yun Xiao, do you know what you're saying? A live-in son-in-law was a disgrace to the Yi family. My Yi family will never allow such a thing to happen." Yi Jingxian couldn't wait for Yun Xiao to not return to the family tree, but he couldn't tolerate someone bringing such shame to the Yi family. Otherwise, if word got out, the Yi family would become the laughingstock of the world. Yun Zhao's cold gaze gradually fell on Yi Jingxian. "To me, becoming the Yun family's son-in-law is my pride." Yi Jingxian was so angry that he almost went crazy. His eyes turned a few times, and he looked at the old man in midair. "Father, since this brat refuses to change his surname, then our Yi family has no need for this piece of trash to return. Father, please expel him from the Yi family, never to be included in the family tree." If Yun Xiao wasn't a member of the Yi family, then whatever he did would have nothing to do with the Yi family. He didn't need to feel humiliated. In midair, the old man glanced at Yun Xiao indifferently. If he doesn't want to change his surname, then let him be. "Father?" Yi Jingxian was stunned. For a moment, he didn't understand what the old man meant. "That's it then. I'm tired. I'll leave the rest to Yi Xiang." The old man waved his sleeves and turned to leave. Before he left, he seemed to inadvertently glance at Yi Jingxian. That gaze contained an indecipherable meaning. Yi Jingxian returned to his senses, and his cold gaze turned towards Yi Jingxian and the others. He laughed mockingly. "Big brother, it's not that I don't care about our friendship, but as you can see, Father doesn't recognize him as his grandson anymore. So, I'll expel him on Father's behalf." Chapter 874. Unexpectedly, just as he finished speaking, Yi Xiang's voice came from behind. The master's words didn't mean to expel him from the family, but whether he wants to enter the family register and change his surname is up to him. Yi Xiang didn't understand the elder's decision, but he had always been loyal and naturally wouldn't go against any of the elder's orders. Yi Jingxian's smile froze. Impossible. This brat doesn't even want to change his surname and even became his son-in-law. How could Father tolerate him? "Second young master, this is the master's decision. We can't have any objections." Yi Xiang frowned slightly. "Since this matter is over, you can all leave now." Yi Jingxuan's face turned from green to white, then from white to green. In the end, he laughed coldly, his lips curling into a mocking smile. "Big brother, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you finally have a son, but he's a good-for-nothing. If he wasn't a good-for-nothing, perhaps I would be a little more afraid." It was because he thought Yin Xiao was a good-for-nothing that he was so unscrupulous. Also, Yi Jingxian paused, then smiled. Your daughter-in-law can't be compared to Princess Mingyao. Princess Mingyao's medical skills are brilliant. Even His Majesty loves her dearly. If she can cure the Empress's illness, she will immediately be conferred the title of Crown Princess. Tell me, how can you compare to me? He purposely said this so that Yi Jingxian could hear him. Hence, he purposely lowered his voice. Unfortunately, Yun Xiao and Yin Luofeng's ears were extremely sharp. How could they not hear these words? Faced with Yi Jingxuan's words, Yin Luofeng only shook his head in amusement, disapproving. But Yin Xiao wouldn't allow anyone to say anything bad about Yin Luofeng. Hence, he curled his fingers slightly, and a streak of spiritual energy was sent down, hitting Yi Jingxuan's back joint. Thump! Caught off guard, Yi Jingxian suddenly knelt in front of Yi Jingxian. This time, not to mention the people around, even Yi Jingxian was dumbfounded. Father! Yi Tianwen's expression changed, clearly not knowing what had happened. Zhang Mingyao frowned slightly, but didn't say anything. She looked at the two with a pair of questioning eyes. Second brother, what are you doing? The corners of Yi Jingxian's lips curled up, but his tone was very polite. Even if you wanted to take little Xiao away, you don't have to kneel down and beg me. How can I, the elder brother, make things difficult for my younger brother? Get up quickly. I'll prepare to leave the Yi family in a while. Yi Jingxian had always been flexible. Even if he didn't understand what was going on, it didn't mean that he wouldn't take the opportunity to trick Yi Jingxian. Hearing this, Yi Jingxian was stunned. When did he beg Yi Jingxian to take Yin Xiao away? However, Yi Jingxian was also a scheming person. It didn't take him long to understand the meaning of Yi Jingxian's words. He immediately gritted his teeth in hatred. This kid actually wanted to harm him. If she really let Yi Jingxian leave, she would have to bear the crime of chasing her brother away. After all, things were different now. Back then, he had an excuse to chase Yi Jingxian away. Now that Yi Jingxian had a son, how could he chase him away? Big brother, I was just joking. Yi Jingxian smiled embarrassedly. Besides, I'm not kneeling to you, big brother. My legs are just a little weak. Yi Jingxian crawled up from the ground and pretended to rub his knees. Since this nephew of mine has returned to the Yi family, as his uncle, I definitely won't mistreat him. I hope that my nephew will attend tonight's family banquet. Chapter 875. Yi Jingxian chuckled. Definitely. He wanted to see what his brother was up to this time. It was night time. The night sky was as clear as water. The Yi household was brightly lit. Servants and maids came and went. It was bustling with activity. Yun Luofeng's family of 6 had just entered the banquet hall when they heard compliments coming from inside. Zhang Mingyao sat beside Yi Tianwen and smiled at those who came to compliment her. However, her smile disappeared very quickly. She frowned and glanced at the family of 6 who had appeared at the entrance of the banquet hall. Second brother, you seem to have placed too few seats. Yi Jingxian's face darkened when he saw the situation in the banquet hall. There are 6 of us. Why are there only 4 empty seats? Yi Jingxian chuckled. I'm sorry, big brother. There are only so many chairs in the banquet hall. There are no more empty seats. Sister-in-law, as your wife, should naturally take a seat. Yin Xiao and Yi Shima, as men, have a right to sit too. Therefore, we can only let Yin Luofeng and Yi Qi, these 2 women, sit in the lower seats. Yi Jingxian's face darkened. He knew that his brother wouldn't stay put. He didn't expect him to be making things difficult for him here. I think this seat is just right. Jun Fengling smiled. Second brother, the 6th princess hasn't married Tianwen yet. Logically speaking, she doesn't have a right to attend the Yi family banquet. Moreover, she's also a junior. Why don't you ask her to give up her seat? Jun Fengling paused, and a cold look flashed in her eyes. Moreover, even the 6th princess palace maid can sit in the Yi family banquet. Why are you forcing my daughter-in-law and goddaughter to sit in the lower seats? In reality, the 6th princess palace maid didn't have a right to sit. However, in order to make things difficult for Yin Luofeng, Yi Jingxian had specially discussed this with the 6th princess. Therefore, the palace maid had taken a seat. Yi Jingxuan's face darkened. Sister-in-law, what are you saying? The 6th princess has such a noble status. How can Yin Luofeng and Yi Qi compare? And as the sixth princess palace maid, Fei Er's status is higher than your daughter-in-law and daughter. You actually want the sixth princess and her palace maid to give up their seats? Don't you know any etiquette? In other words, even the personal maid of the sixth princess had a higher status than Yun Luofeng. Looks like you don't want us to participate in this family banquet. Jun Fengling smiled coldly. If that's the case, there's no need for us to suffer here. Brother Yi, let's go. Yi Jingxian smiled sinisterly. Sister-in-law, it's not that I didn't invite you to the family banquet. It's that you didn't want to come. Don't push the blame on me when father asks. Yi Jingxian's face was ashen. He suppressed his anger and turned to face Jun Fengling. There's no point in coming to such a place. All right. Jun Fengling smiled. Shower Fenger, let's go. As she finished speaking, she stepped forward and grabbed Yin Luofeng, wanting to leave the banquet hall. However, at this time, Yin Luofeng pushed her hand away, and the smile on his lips revealed a trace of coldness. Wait a moment. Jun Fengling was stunned. Just as she was in a daze, Yin Luofeng had already walked in front of the table. She lifted her long leg and kicked the long table fiercely. In an instant, the long table cracked, and all the delicacies on the table fell to the ground, staining the floor. Everyone was stunned. Yun Luofeng's actions were too domineering, so domineering that they could not recover for a long time. Chapter 876. What are you doing? Yi Jingxian was the first to react. He abruptly stood up and glared angrily at Yin Luofeng. If looks could kill, Yin Luofeng would have already been executed by him. The young girl looked at Yi Jingxian evilly. If you don't want us to attend the banquet, then no one should attend. She was just that arrogant. If you don't want us to eat in peace, then no one should eat at all. It seems like this is how you were raised. Jiang Mingyao wiped her mouth with a handkerchief, and her arrogant gaze swept over Yun Luofeng coldly. In the royal family, even a palace maid is more educated than you. Besides, what Uncle Yi said is not wrong. Even my palace maid is more qualified to attend the banquet than you. Jiang Mingyao indeed had her pride. As a princess of the royal family, her status was extraordinary, coupled with her impressive talent. Who in the younger generation dared to not obey her? Only Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao were exceptions, because from the moment they entered the door, they didn't even look at her. It was as if she was invisible and they directly ignored her existence. How could Jiang Mingyao, who had always been the center of attention, stand this? The Yi family elders also regained their senses and began to criticize. Eldest young master, young madam, it's fine that this little girl is usually rude to the Yi family, but now she even dared to ruin the banquet in front of the sixth princess. Shouldn't you punish her? The sixth princess is of noble status. She only needs to open her golden mouth, and you will be placed in an important position. But look at you. Today, if you don't give us an explanation, we won't let this matter rest. That's right. We won't let this matter rest. This time, even a master can forget about protecting you. Make her apologize to the sixth princess. Otherwise, the Yi family will never allow such a person to stay. Yi Jingxian's face darkened bit by bit. His gentle eyes became as sharp as a sword as he glared at the old men who were clamoring for him. His anger was gradually unleashed. Explanation? What explanation? Yi Jingxian sneered and said mockingly, Jiang Mingyao is of noble status. Is my daughter-in-law very lowly? Don't you think you've gone too far? I'll only say this once. Even 10 Jiang Mingyaos can't compare to my daughter-in-law. Pucci, someone in the crowd laughed. Soon after, the others also laughed. Their laughter echoed throughout the entire banquet hall. Some people laughed so hard that they couldn't even bend their backs. What did they just hear? 10 Princess Mingyao combined couldn't compare to Yin Luofeng? Was Yi Jingxian becoming more and more stupid? Even if it was just Princess Mingyao, she could still trample Yin Luofeng under her feet. Yin Zhao's grim eyes gradually sank as he stared at the people who were roaring with laughter. The aura from his body surged wildly, causing the entire banquet hall to become heavy and oppressive. Then he made his move. His movements were very fast. In an instant, Yi Jingxuan's body was sent flying, crashing onto the floor full of leftovers. Father, Uncle Yi, Yi Tianwen and Jiang Mingyao's expressions changed. They wanted to check on Yi Jingshuan's condition, but at this moment, a strong force came from behind and flung them away, causing them to vomit blood. Yi Jingxian. Yi Jingxian clutched his chest as he stood up. His eyes were filled with anger as he glared at Yi Jingxian. I call you big brother out of respect. Don't be too impudent. Injuring me is one thing, but you even dare to hit Princess Mengyao. Will you only be satisfied if you drag the Yi family down? Chapter 877. He was certain that Yi Jingchen was the one who took advantage of the situation earlier. This was because Yi Jingchen was the only one who had the ability to do so. Just as Yin Xiao was about to make another move, a voice full of energy came from outside the hall. I'm not late, am I? Yi Jingxian was momentarily stunned. He lifted his head to look and immediately saw a middle-aged man dressed in martial attire striding in from outside the door. His dignified features were filled with a smile. Seeing Jian Qingwen's sudden appearance, Yi Jingshuan's heart trembled. In the imperial city, the person he feared the most was none other than the famous great general of the nation. As for the reason why they were afraid of him, it was not because he was the empress's elder brother. It was because Jian Chengwen had been on the battlefield for a long time. His vicious aura made him feel fear from the bottom of his heart. General, why are you here? Yi Jingxian hurried over and asked respectfully. This guy was someone he didn't dare to offend. Therefore, in front of Jian Chengwen, he lowered his stance. Jian Chengwen glanced at Yi Jingxian. I heard that the son of the eldest young master of the Yi family has returned to the family, so I specially came to congratulate him and also to find someone. Yi Jingxian was stunned for a moment. He glanced at Jiang Mingyao, whose lips were still stained with blood. Could it be that the general was looking for Princess Mingyao? If he knew that the princess was injured in the Yi clan, not only would Yin Luofeng and the others be dismembered, even he might not be able to protect himself. After all, the sixth princess's medical skills were superb, and she had been busy with the empress recently. How could Jian Chengwen not avenge her? This. Yi Jingxian wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said awkwardly, the sixth princess will be returning to the palace in a moment. How could I trouble you to come and fetch her? Our Yi family will definitely escort her back. Jian Chengwen frowned. Who told you that I'm here to find the sixth princess? Yi Jingxian was stunned. The general didn't come for the sixth princess? Then you. I'm looking for Yin Luofeng. When Jian Chengwen finished speaking, the entire banquet hall exploded. Everyone could not help but stand up with a hint of astonishment in their eyes. The general came here to find Yin Luofeng? Could it be that this lass had stirred up some trouble outside and attracted the general? They already knew that Yin Luofeng was so restless that they shouldn't have allowed her to stay in the Yi clan. General, listen to me. Yin Luofeng is only Jun Fengling's daughter-in-law. She has nothing to do with the Yi family. The Yi family does not acknowledge her existence. If she provokes the general can take her away and deal with her as you wish. The Yi family will not interfere. Yi Jingxian glared fiercely at Yin Luofeng. She would never have a day of peace after offending the general. At that moment, Yi Jingxian didn't notice Jian Qingwen's expression gradually turning cold after he finished speaking. Feng Jun Fengling subconsciously grabbed Yin Luofeng's arm and shot a sharp look at Jian Chengwen. If Jian Chengwen dared to make any strange moves, she would definitely not ignore him. A cold light surged on Yun Zhao's body, and the space between his brows was filled with coldness. His aura was filled with killing intent, which made Jian Chengwen look at him coldly. It said that the Yi family's eldest son, who has been missing for many years, is a good-for-nothing. However, in my opinion, he's more outstanding than anyone else. Ha ha! Jian Chengwen laughed out loud and walked quickly towards Yin Luofeng. Xiao Luofeng, is this how you live your life in the Yi family? If that's the case, why don't you follow me to the general's residence? At least you won't have to be at the mercy of others here. Chapter 878. Yi Jingshuan's face suddenly froze as he looked at the man walking towards Yin Luofeng. His face instantly turned pale. This is impossible. How could the general know Yin Luofeng? Moreover, their relationship doesn't seem to be ordinary. Oh, that's right. Jin Chongwen turned his eyes and raised his eyebrows at the pale Yi Jingxian. You just said that Yin Luofeng isn't a member of the Yi family? Is this your own decision or an order from the Yi family's patriarch? Cold sweat rolled down Yi Jingxuan's forehead. He subconsciously raised his head to wipe it away and forced out a few words. General, no Yin Luofeng. This girl is the daughter of an old friend of mine. Now that we coincidentally meet here, do you think we know each other? At this moment, Yi Jingxian thought of what he had just said, and his face flushed red. It was as if someone had slapped him in the face, making his cheeks hurt. General, it's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. I didn't know you knew each other. Misunderstanding? Jian Chongwen sneered. My little niece has suffered so much in your Yi family, and you're using a misunderstanding to brush me off? Today, if you don't give me an explanation, I won't let this matter rest. This sentence was what Yi Jingxian had just said to Yi Jingchun, but Jian Chongwen had inadvertently returned it to him. Enough. Jiang Mingyao stood up from the cold ground. She wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and looked coldly at Jian Chongwen. General, are you using your position to avenge a personal grudge? Are you using the soldiers of my Tianyin country like this? Do you really think that just because my father dotes on the Empress, you can be so lawless? Let me tell you, this princess will protect the Yi family. If my father knew that you were going against me for this kind of woman, who do you think you would help? Jiang Mingyao raised her beautiful face slightly, her lips curling into a proud smile. She was the princess of the imperial family and the daughter of the emperor. It was impossible for the general to not know which was more important. Jian Chongwen sneered. Coincidentally, I have brought a decree from His Majesty. The emperor has decreed that Yin Luofeng will be conferred the title of Heavenly Cloud Nation's emperor. Even princesses and princes had to pay their respects to her. If any of the members of the royal family disrespected her, she had the power to kill them. Wuxia reports here. After finishing his speech, Jian Chongwen turned to Yin Luofeng and said with a smile, Little Luofeng, His Majesty originally wanted to give you a position, but he knew that you would definitely not accept it, so he gave you a special privilege. From now on, you can walk unhindered in Heavenly Cloud Nation. Yi Jingxuan's face turned pale. He staggered a few times and gritted his teeth. General, are you joking? Why would His Majesty give her such a privilege for no reason? Furthermore, if a member of the royal family was disrespectful to her, she would have the power to decide his life or death. Such a privilege had never existed in history. Therefore, he was certain that Jian Chongwen had purposely made up this lie to help Yin Luofeng vent his anger. General, Uncle Yi is right. Jiang Mingyao gritted her teeth tightly. Her face was still filled with arrogance. My imperial father felt that it was impossible for him to pass down such an oral edict. So, you should understand the consequences of misinforming the emperor. Just now, Jiang Mingyao said that Yin Luofeng's status was not even comparable to the palace maids around her. If His Majesty really gave her such a privilege, what she said was undoubtedly a slap in the face. This was something that Jiang Mingyao could not tolerate. Chapter 879. Sixth Princess, you can go back and ask His Majesty if this oral order is true. Jian Chongwen laughed coldly. Furthermore, I don't have the guts to pass on a false imperial order. Jiang Mingyao's face was as white as snow. She felt her usual arrogance shatter in front of Yin Luofeng. She couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Sixth Princess. Jun Fengling smiled slightly. A cold light flashed across his heroic eyes. Up until now, do you still think that my daughter-in-law can't even compare to your status as a palace maid? Jiang Mingyao's body trembled. She clenched her fists tightly and glared at Yin Luofeng angrily and unwillingly. If Jiang Mingyao was a little more rational, perhaps she would have recognized Yin Luofeng as the white-clothed girl she had seen in the palace that day. However, she had long been filled with the flames of jealousy. As a result, her mind was a mess, and she completely did not understand this point. It was because she couldn't understand that she had done something that she would regret for the rest of her life. So, In the eyes of the sixth princess, Xiao Luofeng is not even comparable to a palace maid. Jian Chengwen frowned slightly and glanced coldly at Jiang Mengyao. Even if she doesn't have the status bestowed by the emperor, she is still the Yi family's daughter-in-law. Who is this palace maid next to you? Is she more honorable than the Yi family's daughter-in-law? His sharp gaze swept over the palace maid. Under his knife-like gaze, the palace maid couldn't resist and knelt on the ground with a thud. Uncle Yi, I'll leave first. Jiang Mingyao's face paled. After saying goodbye to Yi Jingxian, she hurried away with a group of palace maids and guards. It was as if she would hear Jian Chengwen's mocking voice if she stopped. Jian Chengwen smiled coldly and swept his gaze across the crowd. He curled the corners of his lips slightly. I wonder if anyone else thinks that this general is passing on a false oral order. The crowd looked at each other. Although the Yi family had a large business, it was still in existence dependent on the royal family. So, if this oral order was true from now on, no one in the Yi family would dare to provoke Jun Fengling's family. Even Yi Jingxuan's position might be returned to Yi Jingxian. Yi Jingxian lowered his eyes slightly, and a dark look flashed across them. It seemed that Yin Luofeng could not be allowed to stay. Otherwise, he would lose his position sooner or later. General, Yi Jingxian laughed dryly. Our Yi family's banquet has been destroyed, so we are unable to entertain you. Please help yourself. I'll take my leave to rest. After saying this, Yi Jingxian hurried off into the night. The night was hazy. A crescent moon hung in the night sky, illuminating the night. Suddenly, a black-robed man descended from the sky and landed in front of Yi Jingxian. Second young master. Ing, I've treated you well all these years, haven't I? Yi Jingxian asked with a serious expression. The black-robed man, who was called Ing, lowered his head and said respectfully, My life was saved by the second young master, so even if I have to work for the second young master, I am willing. Good, Yi Jingxian nodded in satisfaction. Tonight, you will go and finish off Yun Xiao and Yin Luofeng. If someone finds out, you'll have to bear all the consequences. Yes, Ing replied respectfully. He immediately stood up and disappeared into the boundless night with a flash of black light. Yi Jingxuan's expression gradually darkened. He clenched his fists tightly, and a cold look flashed across his eyes. Yin Luofeng, Yin Xiao, those who oppose me will never have a good ending. Chapter 880. It was nighttime. The watery moonlight poured down and enveloped the simple yet elegant room. At this moment, the tightly shut door was pushed open by a hand. A man shrouded in black entered the room and tiptoed towards the two people who were sleeping soundly. On the bed, the handsome man and beautiful woman were hugging each other as they slept, as if they had not noticed the black-robed man's appearance. The black-robed man stood on the bed and a dagger suddenly appeared in his hand. He aimed it at Yin Zhao's heart and thrust it fiercely. The corners of his lips curled into a sinister smile, and his eyes were arrogant, as if he could already see the scene of the man's heart being pierced. Suddenly, a hand reached out and firmly grabbed the dagger that he had thrust downwards. The black-robed man was stunned. When he raised his head, his eyes met a pair of grim black eyes. Those black eyes were like a serene and deep cold lake, emitting a light that made one tremble with fear. You? Astonishment flashed across the black-robed man's eyes. He looked at the man on the bed in panic and laughed bitterly. Everyone in the imperial city thinks that Yi Jingxian's newly acknowledged son is a good-for-nothing, but I never thought that you'd be the one who's really hiding your abilities. He was an assassin, and as an assassin, of course, he could hide his aura. Unfortunately, Yin Xiao had still sensed his presence. If he said that he was a good-for-nothing, the black-robed man would never believe it. Who sent you? A languid and satisfied voice sounded from the side, causing the black-robed man's already shocked expression to become even more shocked. It turned out that Yin Xiao wasn't the only one who had discovered his arrival. Even Yin Luofeng had similarly hidden her abilities. The black-robed man gently closed his eyes. He understood that this time his master had kicked an iron plate. These two people were even more difficult to deal with than Yi Jingxian and his wife. I just don't like the sight of you. No one sent me. The black-robed man opened his eyes, his face expressionless. His life had been saved by the second young master, so no matter what, he couldn't betray him. Yin Luofeng jumped up from the bed and quickly picked up the clothes beside her to put them on. Then, she sat in front of the table, crossed her legs, and looked at the pale-faced black-robed man with an evil smile. It doesn't matter if you don't tell the truth. I have thousands of ways to make you spill the truth. Yin Xiao. At this moment, Yin Xiao was already standing on the ground. He was dressed in grim black robes, and a thick chill enveloped the entire room. It was so cold that the black-robed man could not help but shiver. But he clenched his teeth tightly and didn't make a sound. Cold sweat rolled down his forehead, and soon his back was drenched in sweat. I really don't know what you guys are talking about. In the beginning, Yi Jingxian had instructed the black-clothed man to keep his mouth shut if he failed. That was because he thought Yi Jingxian and his wife would send someone to protect Yin Xiao. Little did he know that these two people were not people he could afford to offend, especially Yin Xiao. This man had always hidden his edge, but the moment he revealed it, he could not help but feel fear from the bottom of his heart. Just by looking at him, he felt as if there were needles on his back. Feng, have you ever heard of a type of torture? Yin Xiao lifted his eyes and looked at Yin Luofeng. That torture is to have someone use a knife to cut countless holes in the body, then find some man-eating ants and let those ants drill into the holes in the body until the body is completely devoured. Yin Xiao swept a glance at the black-clothed man who was drenched in cold sweat, his expression grim. I think we can let him try this kind of torture. Chapter 881. Yin Luofeng stroked his chin and blinked. That's not a bad idea. Then, she stood up and walked slowly towards the man in black. Actually, even if you don't tell me, I know who sent you here. However, since you want to protect me wholeheartedly, I'll do as you wish. I'll use the method that Yin Xiao mentioned to deal with you. The young girl stopped in her tracks, and her lips curled into a sinister and cold smile. The man in black saw that smile as if a demon was recruiting him. The man in black could no longer control the fear in his heart and quickly leaped out of the door. As soon as he broke through the door, a cold aura chased after him and knocked him down from the sky. He crashed onto the ground with a thud. What's going on? Yi Jingxian and his wife were alarmed by the commotion and quickly walked over. At the same time, the other elders of the Yi family also heard the commotion and rushed over from all directions. Brother, sister-in-law, are you all right? Yi Shima had already walked to Yin Luofeng and Yi Jingshuan's side. He glanced at the man in black who had fallen to the ground and frowned slightly. Where did this fellow come from? An assassin? Ichi was clearly in shock as well. When she thought that these assassins had come to attack Yin Luofeng and Yin Xiao, her heart boiled with anger. This assassin is here for Yin Xiao and me. Yin Luofeng glanced at the crowd that had appeared out of thin air. That's why I'm interrogating him about the mastermind behind this. Hearing this, Jun Fengling was so angry that her hair stood on end. Her figure flashed, and she appeared in front of the assassin. She lifted the assassin up horizontally and flung him down violently. The black-robed man, who had already been beaten half to death by Yin Xiao, let out a muffled groan under Jun Fengling's beating, then stopped moving. Yi family, you're really good. Jun Fengling frowned coldly. First, you made things difficult for my son and daughter-in-law. Now, you've even sent someone to assassinate them. You've really disappointed me. What do you mean by that? An elder stood out from the crowd and said coldly, Do you think that this assassin was sent by the Yi family? Jun Fengling glanced at the elder, and her lips curled into a mocking smile. This old man was Yi Jingshuan's man and had always been on his side. How could he expect these people to stand out and be fair? Who else but the Yi family? Jun Fengling raised his handsome brows. I don't believe that an outsider can come to the Yi residence unscathed, especially when the person he wants to kill is not someone else, but my daughter-in-law and son. Suddenly, a chuckle came from behind the crowd, causing the people in the middle to move. Yi Jingxian gently waved his folding fan and slowly walked over with a smile. His eyes were incomparably gloomy and filled with a vicious light. Yi Jingxian said, Yi. Yi comma, yi xt. Yi Jingxian said sinisterly, I know you all hate me. Before this, we completely fell out. It's only right for you to blame me for this. But Yi Jingxian paused and said, we'll deal with the Yi family's matter later. Now, I'll kill this evil person to avenge big brother and sister-in-law. Whoosh. With that, Yi Jingxian did not give anyone a chance to react. He quickly and nimbly attacked the man in black who had fallen to the ground. His eyes were filled with a strong, murderous intent. Chapter 882. Just as Yi Jingxian was about to reach the black-clothed man, a stone slab fell from the sky and smashed into his body, pinning him to the ground. Second young master. Everyone in the Yi family turned pale with fright and hurried forward to lift the stone slab off Yi Jingxuan's back. Second young master, are you all right? At that moment, Yi Jingxian pushed against the ground and climbed up with difficulty. His eyes flashed with anger. Who was it? Who ambushed this young master just now? This was already the second time. The first time was during the blood test. His knee had been hit by a stone, causing him to kneel in front of Yi Jingxian. This time, he didn't know who ambushed him from behind. No one else noticed, but Yin Luofeng had caught a glimpse of Yun Zhao's actions. This man was always like that. After beating someone up, no one would know who it was. Yun Zhao sensed Yin Luofeng's gaze. She lowered her head and said in a low voice, if you don't feel satisfied, I'll use a mountain to crush him next time. Yin Luofeng blinked and said with a faint smile, all right, I want to see the scene of him being crushed by the mountain. She had said this sentence in a joking tone, but Yun Zhao had taken it seriously. Her pair of black eyes revealed a hint of contemplation. Yi Jingxian. Jun Fengling looked at Yi Jingxian in disdain. Do you have a guilty conscience and want to silence him? Guilty conscience? Yi Jingxian shuddered. What did you say? How could I have a guilty conscience? I didn't send this assassin. Why should I have a guilty conscience? At that moment, the black-clothed man who had fainted slowly regained consciousness. The moment he woke up, he heard Yi Jingxuan's voice. Instantly, his body stiffened, and his clenched fists loosened. Cough, cough. The black-clothed man coughed dryly. The person who sent me wasn't the Yi family's second young master. I don't know him. I just don't like Yin Luofeng and Yun Zhao. These words made Yi Jingxian raise his chin. Did you hear that? I didn't send him. Yin Luofeng is too good at provoking enemies. I say, sister-in-law, even if you want to find a wife, you can't find this kind of one. Don't think that she can do whatever she wants now that she has the protection of the royal family. There are many people in the world that she can't afford to offend. With her arrogant character, she will bring trouble to the Yi family sooner or later. So, Yi Jingxian paused, then continued, I announce that Yin Luofeng is expelled from the Yi family. A cold light flashed across Jun Fengling's eyes. Feng didn't do anything wrong. What right do you have to chase her out? Yi Jingxian said coldly, I didn't do anything wrong? If she didn't do anything wrong, why would someone want to kill her for no reason? She must have done something wrong, so others wanted to kill her for revenge. Hence, I will write a divorce letter on Yun Zhao's behalf and divorce her. Dream on. Jun Fengling was so angry that her entire body was trembling. As a mother, I didn't even say that I would divorce Feng. As an uncle, what right do you have? Just because I'm the head of the Yi family, is that enough? He only divorced Yin Luofeng. He didn't capture her and sentence her to death. The royal family shouldn't be so unreasonable as to settle the score with him. As long as Yin Luofeng was divorced from the Yi family, Yun Zhao would lose someone who could help him. In that case, what right did Yi Jingxian have to fight with him? Second young master is right. If Yin Luofeng and Yun Zhao hadn't done something, why would this assassin come all the way here to kill them? Chapter 883. I think this assassin is the one who's really pitiful. I don't know how much he suffered to have such a deep hatred, but now he's a prisoner. If I had a son like Yun Zhao, I would divorce Yin Luofeng first and force him to apologize to the assassin. In the eyes of the crowd, the assassin became the wrongdoer. On the contrary, Yin Luofeng, Yun Zhao, and the others who were almost assassinated became heinous evildoers. They might have killed the assassin's entire family. So the assassin came to take revenge. Otherwise, how could someone assassinate them for no reason? Mother, do you know who I admire the most? Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows and looked at Jun Fengling. Jun Fengling laughed. Who do you admire? I admire people with wild imaginations. Yin Luofeng's lips curled into an evil smile. They didn't even know the assassin's identity, but they imagined that I killed his entire family and dug up his ancestral grave. They also imagined that the assassin hated me and came all the way here to kill me. How did they know that the assassin came from a faraway place? Why didn't he stay with the Yi family? All the elders were furious. If it weren't for their fear of the emperor's favor for Yun Luofeng, they would have rushed up and tied the girl up to teach her a lesson. Sister-in-law, Yi Jingshuan's face darkened. I think Yun Luofeng should apologize to the assassin. This must be her fault. Otherwise, why did the assassin have to kill her instead of anyone else? You? Shameless. Yi Qi, who had been stunned by Yi Jingshuan's words, finally managed to squeeze out a few words. Her pretty face was flushed red as she glared at Yi Jingxian angrily. Yi Jingxian was impatient and glanced at her sternly. I'm talking to sister-in-law. Who gave you permission to interrupt? Get lost now. Boom. A strong force rushed out and hit Yi Qi's chest. Yi Qi spat out a mouthful of blood and took a few steps back. Yi Shima, who was behind her, held her. Don't speak. Yi Shima frowned slightly. We'll handle this. You're not strong enough, so don't get yourself into trouble. Yi Qi was stunned. She lowered her gaze, her eyes filled with unwillingness. She knew that Yi Shima was doing this for her own good, but she couldn't accept it. If she was strong enough, she would not be in such a passive position. When Jun Fengling saw the injured Yi Qi, his expression turned ugly. He said in a low voice, Yi Jingxian, Qi is right. You are a shameless person. Don't even think about making Feng or apologize to you. Huh? Yi Jingxian laughed darkly. You can't blame me for that. This woman, Yin Luofeng, is vicious and merciless. My Yi family absolutely cannot keep her. Men, bring me a pen and paper. I want to divorce this woman on behalf of Yin Xiao. Let's see who dares. Jun Fengling shouted angrily and stood in front of Yin Luofeng. Her eyes were very domineering, and she looked valiant. Yi Jingxian smiled mockingly. Just as he was about to speak, a shocked cry came from behind him. Second young master, be careful. Be careful? Be careful of what? Just as Yi Jingxian was looking around in confusion, he suddenly realized that the moonlight above him had been covered. A shadow was cast down, and he could not help but raise his head. Then horror appeared in his eyes, and he suddenly cursed, Motherfucker, who's throwing rubbish in the air? Boom! Under the man's horrified gaze, a mountain smashed down, directly covering his body, causing the entire ground to tremble. Chapter 884. Yun Xiao turned to look at Yin Luofeng. The corners of his cold lips curled up slightly. You like it? If Yin Xiao only knew how to move a stone slab, Yin Luofeng would not be so shocked. However, she never thought that this guy's will would be so strong that he could actually move a mountain. Seeing that Yin Luofeng didn't say anything, Yin Xiao pursed his thin lips and said, I used my will to search the surroundings just now and only found this mountain. If you think this mountain isn't big enough, I'll go look for an even bigger one later. Previously, when Yi Jingxian said that he wanted to divorce Yin Xiao did not stand up for his wife. That was because his will was used to find a mountain, so he did not hear Yi Jingshuan's words. Second young master. Everyone in the Yi family was scared out of their wits. After a long while, they rushed to the small mountain that was pressing down on Yi Jingxian. One of them turned to his companion and said, Quick, go get something and save the second young master. As soon as he said this, someone immediately went to get a shovel. One of them placed the shovel at the foot of the small mountain and used all his strength to lift it. Unfortunately, the small mountain was too heavy. In the end, even the shovel broke. He still could not lift it. At this moment, an elderly voice rang out from the sky, sounding dissatisfied. What happened? Why is it so noisy in the middle of the night? Also, who moved a mountain here? In the sky, Xiang frowned slightly and looked coldly at the people below. Elder Xiang, come help quickly. The second young master is being pressed down by this mountain. We can't get him out. What? Xiang turned pale with fright and hurriedly walked down from the sky. His elderly hand pressed tightly against the mountain, and with a bang, a powerful force penetrated the mountain. In an instant, the thick hill was pulverized by his attack, and the scattered stones fell into the courtyard. Yi Jingxian had long lost consciousness. His eyes rolled back, and he lay motionless on the ground. Carry him back. I'll get a doctor to treat him. Yi Xiang waved his hand and ordered. Hearing this, two Yi family guards walked forward and carried Yi Jingshuan's body towards the back of the courtyard. The entire courtyard became quiet. Everyone was scared silly by the sudden scene and didn't know what to say for a moment. All right, who's going to tell me what's going on? Yi Xiang's cold eyes swept across the crowd. His gaze stopped on the assassin, and he frowned slightly. Elder Yi Xiang, it's like this. Yin Luofeng killed this assassin's family, causing this assassin to come looking for trouble. We were dealing with this matter, but who knew that something unexpected would happen? In other words, the assassin was innocent, and all the crimes were caused by Yin Luofeng. She was the true sinner. Is that true? Yi Xiang's eyes darkened as he looked at Yin Luofeng and asked in a low voice. Yin Luofeng's lips curled up. I killed his family, so he came all the way here just to take my life. Is that right? That's right. The elder nodded furiously. That's right. Yin Luofeng gently stroked his chin. Since it's like this, it's easy to investigate this matter. Everyone who enters and exits the city gate will have a record. Since you said that he came from thousands of miles away, there must be proof that he entered and exited recently. The elder was stunned for a moment. He was just playing along with Yi Jingshuan's words. As for the assassin's origins, he had no idea at all. Chapter 885. Yi Xiang saw his hesitation and furrowed his brows. If you lie in front of me again, you should know what the consequences will be. Then he looked at the man in black and asked again, Tell me, what is your purpose for coming here? Who sent you here? If you don't give me an explanation, I won't forgive you. The man in black's eyes flashed, and he scoffed. Yin Luofeng, and I do have a grudge. She seduced my little brother, seized my family's property, and killed my entire family. However, I never thought of seeking revenge from her. Instead, I came to the imperial city and planned to live a peaceful life. Who knew that I would meet Yin Luofeng at this time? This woman seduced my little brother and monopolized my family's property. She even tried to drug me. Because of this, I attacked her. No one sent me. He insisted that Yin Luofeng was in the wrong first and that he was an innocent man. He even raised Yin Luofeng's behavior to the level of indiscreet. He didn't believe that the Yi family would want a woman who tried to seduce men time and time again. As expected, the man in black's words angered the Yi family's elders again. Each of them glared at Yin Luofeng. Seduce men? TSK. This girl is actually this kind of person. You really don't know a person's face. Eldest young master, how can a woman like this be qualified to become the Yi family's daughter-in-law? You should quickly ask your son to divorce her. Hearing those people's words, Yi Jingqian's expression was very ugly. He was about to scold them when he saw Yun Xiao take off the spatial ring on her finger. Then, the spatial ring flashed, and countless crystals and medicinal ingredients appeared in the courtyard. There were even a few weapons made of cold iron. If they were taken out, each of them would be a priceless treasure. Feng all these years, I haven't given you any gifts. Take these treasures as my betrothal gift to you. Betrothal gift? Yin Luofeng wanted to say that he had already given the betrothal gift. However, he suddenly came back to his senses and a smile appeared on his face. This man is doing this on purpose. Didn't you say that I seduced your little brother for your property, and now I'm seducing you? Then I'll take out the treasures in my hands to slap your face. This is all I have. I'm giving it all to you now. If you think it's too little, I'll work even harder for our future. Yin Zhao's expression was serious. No one would be able to see through the man's cold exterior and what he was thinking. Jun Fengling and Yi Jingqian looked at each other. This was the first time they realized how two-faced their son was. This was a resounding slap of the face. With so many treasures, even the Yi family, which had a deep foundation, could not compare. How could Yin Luofeng seduce a man for a little bit of family wealth? Even a man was more handsome than Yin Xiao. The man in black's body went limp, and he collapsed to the ground. Yin Xiao's domineering actions had completely shocked him. At the same time, it sent a chill down his spine. You, Yin of Yi of. What else do you have to say? Yi Xiang sneered. And you guys, what other people say you believe it? The items in Yin Zhao's hands are more than enough to buy his entire family. Why would Yin Luofeng sacrifice himself for this? Even though Yi Xiang was unhappy with Yun Zhao's refusal to acknowledge his ancestry, he would still choose to protect him for Yi Jingchen's sake. Chapter 886. The Yi family elders did not speak again. However, when they looked at the item in front of Yin Xiao, their eyes flashed with greed. Do you choose to confess yourself, or do you want me to force a confession out of you? Yi Xiang turned to the man in black again and asked, I'll give you one last chance. The man in black looked dispirited. He knew that with the Yi family's power, they could definitely get the information from him. Therefore, he took a small breath and said, Young Master Yi Tianlin sent me here, because Yin Luofeng made things difficult for him on the street. He harbors a grudge and wants to take her life. Master, I'm sorry. In order to protect you, someone has to be the scapegoat. Young Master Tianlin is too outstanding, so we can only let Tianlin take the blame. Guards. Yi Xiang's face darkened. Go and capture young Master Tianlin. We'll deal with him after the Master comes out of seclusion. Ever since the blood test, the Master continued to go into seclusion. So, after so many things happened in the Yi family, he did not stand out to uphold justice. Yin Luofeng and Yin Xiao looked at each other and saw the distrust in each other's eyes towards the man in black. Yin Xiao, let's take him away. She raised her eyebrows. If he wants to kill us, he'll have to pay the price. The man in black lay on the ground in despair. He knew that if he fell into the hands of Yin Luofeng and Yin Xiao, he would definitely suffer a fate worse than death. Feng'er. Jun Fengling's eyes were filled with worry. During this time, let me sleep with you while Brother Yi stays with Xiao. I'm really worried about your safety. Yin Luofeng was stunned. He turned to look at Yin Xiao and saw that the man's eyebrows were knitted together. With Yin Zhao's personality, he was not used to being in contact with others. Even if that person was his relative, no need. Yin Luofeng shook his head. Isn't Yi Tianlin already captured? If someone comes to assassinate us, that person will definitely be related to Yi Tianlin. I believe he's not that stupid. Jun Fengling sighed. All right, if you need anything, remember to call me. I'll come anytime. Yin Luofeng nodded, exchanged a glance with Yin Xiao, and walked into the room. After they entered the room, Yin Luofeng poured himself a cup of tea, raised his eyebrows, and asked, Yin Xiao, do you think that the assassin was really sent by Yi Tianlin? No. Yin Xiao muttered to herself for a moment. The person who sent him was Yi Jingxian. Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes. It looks like we need to settle things here as soon as possible. Yi Jingxian can't be kept here for too long. These few days, the imperial city was relatively quiet. The only thing that caused discussion was that a mountain range not far from the city had disappeared into thin air. All that was left was a huge crater. Based on human strength, it was impossible to move the mountain. Thus, for a moment, everyone was making wild guesses. They all believed that someone had made a mistake and angered the god of heaven, causing the god of heaven to move the mountain in anger to warn the humans. Of course, as the instigator of this matter, Yin Xiao had an indifferent attitude. Unless it was related to Yin Luofeng, it would be difficult for other matters to attract his attention at this moment. In a secluded courtyard of the Yi family home, Yi Jingxian sat muddle-headedly on his bed. It was obvious that he had not yet recovered from the unforeseen event that had happened a few days ago. This time, even though he had managed to preserve his life, he had lost a leg. He could not even get out of bed. So how could he talk about becoming the head of the Yi family? Chapter 887. Yi Jingchun, Jun Fengling, Yin Luofeng, Yin Xiao. This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been standing there, and I wouldn't have been hit by the mountain. Yi Jingxian gritted his teeth fiercely and blamed everything on Yin Luofeng. He had never thought that if he hadn't hired the assassin, he wouldn't have encountered this series of events. He had suffered the consequences of his own actions. Someone, invite honored consort Shu here. Tell her that I have something important to discuss with her. If she doesn't want to come, tell her that I know all her secrets and that I have ironclad evidence in my hands. Just as Yi Jingxian finished speaking, a figure disappeared from behind him and quickly flashed into the boundless sky. After so many years, how could he have only trained Shadow? Without Shadow, there were many loyal dogs that he could use. Perhaps Yi Jingxuan's words had an effect. Not long after, a person wearing a bamboo hat appeared sneakily in front of the door. Seeing that no one was following her, the person took off the bamboo hat and revealed a beautiful face. This face was somewhat similar to Jiang Mingyao's. "You're looking for me?" The woman lifted her chin slightly and looked down at Yi Jingxian arrogantly. With Yi Jingxuan's power, it was easy for her to avoid everyone in the Yi family and enter this place. Unfortunately, he couldn't escape a pair of cunning rat eyes. Yi Jingxian naturally didn't notice milk tea hiding in the dark. A smile appeared on his pale face, and he said, "Of course I have something important to ask honored consort Shu to come here." "What is it? Hurry up and say it. I can't leave the palace for too long." Honored consort Shu was very impatient and frowned. Yi Jingxian smiled. "I know that honored consort Shu wanted to seize the Empress's power and deliberately poison the Empress. Is that so?" Honored consort Shu's expression suddenly changed, and she shouted sternly, "What nonsense are you talking about? I said that honored consort Shu knows best. You hid this matter from everyone. Even your daughter, the sixth princess, doesn't know about it. She has been running around for the Empress. However, you can't hide it from me. I have informants in the Imperial Palace. Every move of honored consort Shu that day has already reached my ears. Also, I know that." "Enough." Honored consort Shu's face was ashen. "Tell me, what do you want me to do?" Yi Jingxian narrowed his eyes. "I only need your highness to help me with a small matter. Tomorrow, I will have an elder of the Yi family send a memorial to the emperor stating that Yin Luofeng can cure the empress. If he can't cure her, he will use his life to pay for it. At that time, you can poison the medicine that Yin Luofeng gave to the empress. Then, not only can you kill the empress, but I can also eliminate my enemies." In the past few days, Yi Jingxian had already sent people to the general's residence to investigate. Yin Luofeng's parents were actually the general's old friends, which was why the general doted on her. As for the verbal edict from the banquet, it must have been a lie. Everyone knew that the emperor loved the empress so much that he indulged the general. Even if the general gave a fake imperial edict, the emperor would not punish him and would help him cover up his lie. If Yin Luofeng was really valued by His Majesty, he wouldn't still be in the Yi family. He would have gone to the imperial palace long ago. Moreover, if Yin Luofeng was really given the right to kill the descendants of the royal family, with the jealous nature of a woman, how could Yin Luofeng endure seeing how outstanding Princess Jiang Mingyao was? Perhaps he had already killed a woman who was more outstanding than him. Most importantly, the emperor had never left the imperial city, and this was the first time Yin Luofeng had come to this place. How could he possibly know the emperor? From this, Yi Jingxian came to the conclusion that the emperor did not know Yin Luofeng at all. That verbal order was a bluff from the general. He had purposely passed it on for Yin Luofeng. Chapter 888. Empress Shu stared at Yi Jingxian, who was standing in front of her, and said coldly, "I will do as you wish. I'm helping you this time in hopes that you'll keep your mouth shut. If I hear any rumors, don't blame me for being ruthless." "Empress Shu, this isn't you helping me. It's just that we're mutually benefiting." Yi Jingxian smiled slightly. Empress Shu's expression suddenly changed. She took a slight breath and said, "Indeed, both of us are capable in this matter. However, Yi Jingxian, if you scheme against too many people, you'll eventually get what you deserve." "What he deserves?" Yi Jingxian sneered. "Same to you." "Oomph." Empress Shu snorted coldly. She put on her bamboo hat again and left in a huff. The moment she walked out of the room, A murderous intent flashed across her eyes. Yi Jingxian must not be allowed to live. Otherwise, she didn't know when he would bring out his weakness and use it against her. Yi Jingxian probably didn't expect that because of his actions, Empress Shu would want to kill him. Seeing Empress Shu leave, a hamster sneakily ran out from a corner. Its shrewd, rat eyes glanced at Yi Jingxian, and with a whooshing sound, it dashed into the distance. Master! Milk Tea had just run to Yin Luofeng's room when she saw her master pressing down on Yin Xiao. She hurriedly covered her little eyes and said, "I didn't see anything. You guys continue." Yin Luofeng glanced at Milk Tea. "Where did you go just now?" Hearing this, Milk Tea immediately cried out excitedly, "Master, I went to Yi Jingxuan's room to find out about the assassination a few days ago. Who knew that I would actually hear some news?" Yin Luofeng raised her brows slightly, indicating for her to continue. Milk Tea smiled sinisterly. "Just now, a woman whom Yi Jingxian calls Empress Shu disguised herself and snuck into the Yi household. Furthermore, I heard them say that the poison that the Empress was poisoned with was done by Empress Shu." Yin Luofeng was startled, and her expression suddenly became serious. She got off the bed and walked to the table. She flicked her sleeves and sat down. "Continue. Yi Jingxian found Empress Shu?" This matter was definitely not as simple as it seemed. Milk Tea's expression became more and more excited. Yi Jingxian plans to have a Yi family's elders submit a memorial saying that you recommended yourself to treat the Empress. He also said that if you can't cure the Empress, you will use your life as an apology. Yin Luofeng narrowed her eyes, and a dangerous glint flashed across her eyes. At this moment, Yun Xiao had already walked behind her. She hugged the young girl's body tightly, her chin gently rubbing against her shoulder. "I'll go deal with Yi Jingxian." "No need," Yin Luofeng said with an evil smile. "Yi Jingxian can't do anything. However, if he intends to use this method to frame me, why would he look for Empress Shu?" Milk Tea giggled and said, "Master, that Yi Jingxian didn't just set up a trap. He knew that the Emperor of Tianyu Nation was a wise ruler. He wouldn't punish you just because you couldn't cure the Empress. Therefore, he asked Empress Shu to poison the medicine that you cooked for the Empress. The Emperor loved the Empress deeply. If the Empress was killed by you, he would definitely be furious. This would fulfill Yi Jingxuan's wish." There was no doubt that Yi Jingxuan's plan was flawless. With Empress Shu's influence in the court, since she could secretly poison the Empress, she could naturally kill two birds with one stone. Chapter 889. Unfortunately, he had missed one thing. That was, the Empress had been miraculously cured by his master. No matter how good his plan was, it was useless. I was still wondering if I should help the Empress find the murderer. After all, the Empress used to be my mother's old friend. I never thought that the murderer would jump out so quickly. If I don't make use of it, wouldn't I be letting her down? Yin Luofeng leaned against the back of the chair, lazily. The smile on his lips was evil, and his black eyes shone brightly. "Master, what do you plan to do?" Milk Tea blinked and asked. "Beat them at their own game." "Beat them at their own game?" Milk Tea was stunned and began to sympathize with Yi Jingxian and honored consort Shu. These two were clearly throwing themselves at a knife's edge. "Milk Tea, continue to keep an eye on Yi Jingxian. Report to me if he does anything." An evil light flashed in Yin Luofeng's eyes as he spoke in a low voice. "Yes, master." After Milk Tea responded, she disappeared with a whoosh. In the entire room, only Yun Xiao and Yin Luofeng were left. "Yin Xiao, I won't keep you waiting for too long." Yin Luofeng slowly got up and hugged Yin Xiao. He lowered his eyes and said, "Wait until I break through to the venerable realm. Let's get married, all right?" Yin Xiao's body suddenly stiffened and his paralyzed face gradually melted at the young girl's words. "Ew, are you serious? Are you really willing to marry me?" He kept this last question in his heart and did not ask it out loud. Yin Luofeng smiled. "I've even accepted your betrothal gift. Do you think that I'm lying?" Suddenly, Yin Xiao hugged Yin Luofeng tightly. He used a lot of strength, as if he wanted to rub the young girl into his flesh and blood. I was just too excited. Feng as long as you don't leave me, I won't abandon you. Wherever you are, it is my home. The man's voice was deep and hoarse, but it easily entered the young girl's heart. The corners of her lips curled into a faint smile. As long as you don't leave me, I won't abandon you. Wasn't she the same? To have this man waiting for her for a lifetime, what else could she not be satisfied with? However, Yin Luofeng gently narrowed his eyes. Yin Xiao, even if I agree to marry you, there is one condition that will not change. I'm the top, you're the bottom. In this world, the only person who can train you is me. Normally, you're on top, but in bed, you're on the bottom. What he meant was that when they interacted normally, Yin Luofeng was above them. He could listen to her in everything, but when it came to bed, it was probably not up to her. Yin Luofeng's smile became more and more demonic, and he took a few steps closer to Yin Xiao. If you want to be on top, then you can try. I won't give way. Just as the atmosphere became more and more ambiguous, an untimely voice suddenly rang out. Master, I support you to be the attacker and make Lord Yin Xiao suffer. When the time comes, I must come and watch. Fire sat on the bed and crossed her legs. Her small hand supported her cheeks as she looked at Yin Luofeng and Yin Xiao with a face full of smiles. Yin Luofeng's face darkened. Fire, why did you come out? Fire curled his lips. The sapling in the divine grimoire space has woken up again. I'm afraid that it will eat me and run out, and her eyes rolled. It won't be long before there's a good show to watch. I definitely can't be left out at this time. Chapter 890. In the Royal Palace. In the royal study, the emperor looked at the elders kneeling in front of him with a slight headache and asked, Dear ministers, do you have anything to report to the emperor? The leader of the group was an elder from the Yi family. He was dressed in court attire as he slowly walked forward and said respectfully, Your Majesty, I'm here to recommend a doctor who can treat the empress. Oh, the emperor raised his eyebrows. Although the empress had recovered, she hadn't announced it to the world. Thus, no one knew. Thus, the emperor's expression became better when he heard that they were here for the empress. No matter what, these officials were worried about the empress, right? Elder Yi, I wonder if the doctor you mentioned is here? The elder smiled. Your Majesty, the person who is said to be able to treat the empress is here. He also said that if he can't treat the empress, he is willing to die. Hearing this, the emperor's eyes flashed with surprise. He didn't think that someone would be so confident in treating the empress. He even made such a heavy vow. If he couldn't treat the empress, she would die. Even Miss Yin only made a decision after seeing the empress's condition. He didn't think that the Yi family would have such a confident person. Elder, the person you're talking about she's Yi Jingqin's daughter-in-law, Yin Luofeng. When the Yi family elder said this, he didn't notice the emperor's strange expression at all. Even Jian Chengwen, who was waiting by the emperor's side, looked at him in shock. The Yi family elder smiled. Your Majesty, Yin Luofeng is recommending herself. She even said that if she can't treat the empress, she will die as an apology. The emperor's expression became more and more strange. He coughed dryly. Elder, are you sure this is what Yin Luofeng said? Absolutely. The Yi family elder's eyes flashed coldly. This Yin Luofeng is indeed a doctor, and she's so confident in her medical skills. I think she might be able to treat the empress, so I boldly recommended her to your Majesty. In reality, the Yi family elder didn't think Yin Luofeng had any medical skills. If it wasn't for second young master's repeated warnings, he probably wouldn't have been able to resist mocking her. But now, not only could he not mock Feng Yin Luofeng, he had to praise her in front of his Majesty. The emperor's face gradually darkened. Elder Yi, do you know the crime of deceiving the emperor? If I were to find out that these words were fabricated by you, even if the Yi family's patriarch came, he wouldn't be able to protect you. The Yi clan elder was stunned for a moment and looked at the emperor in surprise. Could it be that he guessed that I was just making things up? No, absolutely impossible. Second young master already understood very thoroughly. His Majesty didn't know Yin Luofeng at all and wouldn't know the truth of his words. Your Majesty, everything I said is true. There is absolutely no falsehood. The Yi clan elder gritted his teeth and said firmly, I understand. The emperor waved his hand and said indifferently, You can leave first. The Yi family elder did not understand. What did His Majesty mean? According to his deep love for the Empress, shouldn't he immediately summon Yin Luofeng? Why did it look so calm now? No matter how many questions he had in his heart, the Yi clan elder still left the Imperial Studies door unlocked. It wasn't until the footsteps outside the door gradually faded away that the emperor furrowed his brows and asked, General Jian, what do you think this Yi clan elder meant? Even though I don't understand Miss Yin very well, I understand that she's the kind of person who wouldn't speak nonsense if she wasn't completely sure. If Miss Yin hadn't seen the Empress, she wouldn't have come to a conclusion so easily. More importantly, Miss Yin had already cured the Empress. Chapter 891. Jian Chengwen narrowed his eyes, and a cold light shone in them. Your Majesty, these old farts of the Yi family really don't want to spare little Luofeng. If little Luofeng was an ordinary girl, they would be forcing her to her death by doing this. General Jian, the Emperor's expression darkened. That night, I already sent you to pass on the Imperial Edict. Why are there still so many people who want to make things difficult for her? Your Majesty, Jian Chengwen turned around and cupped his fists. At that time, I only passed on your oral edict. Some people probably thought that I relied on your Majesty's connivance to pass on a fake Imperial Edict, so I didn't take little Luofeng seriously. The Emperor sighed. I was careless. I didn't think that these people of the Yi family would be so self-righteous. General Jian, make a trip to the Yi family and bring Miss Yin into the palace in the Empress Phoenix carriage. Also, let your sister see her. These few days, your sister's been talking about this girl. There's no need. Just as the Emperor finished speaking, the half-closed door of the royal study was pushed open by a hand. Not long after, a figure as white as snow floated in and appeared in the royal study. Before Yin Luofeng left that day, the Emperor had given her a token that allowed her to enter and leave the palace at will. She didn't even need to report when entering and leaving the royal study. In the entire royal family, only the Empress and Jian Chengwen had this special privilege. Little Luofeng, why have you come? Jian Chengwen was stunned for a moment and hurriedly went up to greet her. He ordered the eunuch to guard the door, then looked at Yin Luofeng. You entered the palace too suddenly. If people find out that you cured the Empress, I'm afraid that the hidden enemies will act against you. Jian Chengwen's voice was filled with blame, but his brows were full of worry. Why have I ever been afraid of anyone? Yin Luofeng glanced at Jian Chengwen. If they want to settle the score with me, I'll kill one if they come. If they come twice, I'll definitely kill both. If they're not afraid of death, they can come find trouble with me. The young girl's words were domineering and her brows were arrogant. That disdainful attitude of looking down on the world caused people to be subdued. A daze flashed across Jian Chengwen's eyes. It was as if he was looking at his old friend from many years ago. His eyes were full of regret. Your personality is too similar to your father's. How good would it be if he was still alive? Right, little Luofeng, is there something important that brought you to the palace? Yin Luofeng nodded. I came to tell you that I know the Empress's murderer. What? Hearing this, the Emperor stood up abruptly. The veins on his forehead bulged. Who is it? Consort, consort. Yin Luofeng's thin lips slowly spat out two words. Similarly, these two words stunned both the Emperor and Jian Chengwen. Consort, consort, consort. During this period of time, the Emperor had thought of many murderers who wanted to harm the Empress, but he had never considered the gentle and refined concubine Shu. Even though Shu Fei had been sad because he favored the Empress, she had never fought for anything. This kind of woman who didn't fight or fight was the murderer who killed the Empress. Consort, consort, Emperor consort. The Emperor gritted his teeth and slammed his palm on the table. I have treated her well, but she tried to harm the Empress. This time, I will not forgive her. Luo, 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 T Luo, Luo, Luo. Sister, Luo. Yin Luofeng told the Emperor what milk tea had heard. As he listened, The emperor's handsome face darkened. He clenched his fists, and his body trembled with anger. Chapter 892. Your Majesty, Jin Chengwen muttered to himself. I'm afraid Consort Shu can't harm the Empress on her own, so I'm guessing that there's someone behind her. However, no matter who it is, I won't let them off. In an instant, a murderous aura spread from his body and filled the entire imperial study. Actually, it's very simple to expose Consort Shu's true colors and lure out that person. Yun Luofeng's lips curled up slightly. Doesn't she want me to harm the Empress? So what if I do as she wishes? The Emperor and Jin Chengwen were both stunned and looked at Yin Luofeng in confusion. You mean, Yun Luofeng's smile deepened. Go tell the Yi family elders that you've summoned me to the palace to treat the Empress. Invite Yi Jingxian as well. I'm going to solve all my problems today. In the beginning, Yin Luofeng hadn't done anything to the Yi family because the master of the Yi family was a holy spirit. If she wanted to kill his son, how could he not stop her? As for her, she wouldn't act rashly before she had complete confidence that she could defeat this holy spirit. But now it was different. If Yi Jingxian was charged with the crime of harming the Empress, even the Yi family wouldn't protect him. She could only say that just as she was thinking of a way to solve this problem, he just happened to bump into her, giving her such a good opportunity. Good. The Emperor immediately slapped the table. These people want to harm my Empress. I will never forgive them. After Consort Shu left the Yi family, she hurriedly returned to her bedroom. She carefully closed the door and had the palace maids wait outside. Then, she quickly walked to a stone table and gently twisted the lion on the stone table. It wasn't long before a secret room appeared within the room, and then a man in a navy blue robe walked out from within. Your Excellency Lin, I've been found out about my plot to harm the Empress. I would like to ask you to help me deal with that person. The man glanced coldly at Consort Shu and expressionlessly said, If you can't do anything right, what use do I have for you? Consort Shu's expression changed. Your Excellency Lin, I'm working for you. How can you treat me like this? Yi Jingxian is treacherous and cunning. He will definitely use this against me. Please help me this time, Lord Lin. Help you? The man curled his lips into a sinister smile. How are you going to help me if I help you? Empress Shu understood what the man meant, and her face turned pale. Sir, this is the bedchamber. Empress Shu, why are you still pretending to be a chaste woman now? Didn't our first time take place in this bedroom? You've even given birth to my flesh and blood, so why are you still pretending to be reserved? The man approached honored Consort Shu with a sneer. He pinched her chin tightly with his fingers, and a cold light flashed across his eyes. Honored concubine Shu's face was pale without a trace of blood. Her body was a little weak, and she almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, she grabbed the lion on the stone table tightly and stabilized herself. One night of nightmares had destroyed her entire life. Ever since that night, this man had used Meng Yao's identity as a threat to get her to poison the Empress. However, honored consort Shu still didn't understand. Since this man hated the Emperor and Empress so much, why didn't he just kill them? Your Excellency, I don't understand. What kind of deep hatred do you have with His Majesty and Empress? Honored consort Shu bit her pale lips and asked. Chapter 893. The man narrowed his eyes and sneered. Imperial concubine Tong is my childhood sweetheart, but she was killed by this shameless couple. That's why I hate them. I hate them so much that they would rather die than live. These days, the Dog Emperor has been suffering because the Empress is in a coma, and this is what I endured in the past. In the past, I was not strong enough to bring the woman I loved out of the palace. Perhaps the heavens took pity on me and gave me a chance, allowing me to possess great power. If it wasn't for the fact that I was afraid of that old bastard from the royal family, I would have captured that shameless couple and tortured them. Unfortunately, that old bastard was too strong, so I couldn't do anything. Now that I have inquired about it, that old bastard temporarily left the imperial city for something. Ha ha ha. Once he leaves, the imperial city is doomed to be destroyed. The reason why Tianyan Nation was so strong, and even the Yi family was afraid of it, was because there was an intermediate holy practitioner in the royal family. This old guy was a level higher than the Yi family's master. Therefore, in Tianyan Nation, no one dared to offend the royal family. Imperial concubine Tong? Empress Shu was stunned. You are Imperial concubine Tong's childhood sweetheart? In fact, the Empress was pregnant once, but Imperial concubine Dong secretly killed her, causing the fetus to die. His Majesty was so angry that he sentenced her death. Although the Emperor usually had a good temper, as long as he did not offend the Empress, he had always been gentle. However, the Empress was his bottom line, and he would not let anyone who harmed the Empress go. Thinking of this, Empress Shu's heart was filled with jealousy. The Empress was really happy to be pampered by a man, especially when that man was the supreme ruler of the 9-5. You are talking nonsense. The man's eyes were red and filled with anger. Dong is innocent. She would never hurt the Empress. It must be that bitch who framed her. Moreover, so what if Donger did it? My Dong is the best woman in the world. His Majesty must be blind to have chosen that bitch as his Empress. Empress Shu was shocked by the man's anger, and she did not dare to say another word. The man was emotional. If Dong wants to be the Empress, then she must be the Empress. Who does that bitch think she is? Why did he have to steal Dong-er's position? It's fine that she stole Dong-er's position, but she didn't even spare her life. Don't you think that a woman like her deserves to die? Yes, in his eyes, concubine Dong was the best. Men who didn't like her were all blind. Empress Shu's face turned paler and paler. At this moment, she heard Jiang Mingyao's voice from outside the door. Lord Lin, you're right. Those who bully noble consort Dong deserve to die. Mingyao will be here soon. Can you avoid her for a while? Empress Shu looked outside the door anxiously, her face full of nervousness. The man snorted. Remember, your life is in my hands. If you dare to disobey me, I will kill you. I can kill you right now. He knew what was important and what was not. Hence, he walked into the secret chamber after he finished speaking. Seeing the man leave, Empress Shu hurriedly turned the stone lion and restored the secret room to its original state. At the same time, Jiang Mingyao had already walked in. Imperial Mother, Jiang Mingyao entered the room and saw Empress Shu's pale face at first glance. She hurried forward and said worriedly, Are you worried about Imperial Father again? Chapter 894. At this time, Empress Shu's expression didn't change. She followed Jiang Mingyao's words and said, I am worried about the Empress. The Empress is also a poor person. She can't bear children, and now she almost lost her life. If I can, I really want to bear all this for her. Empress Shu took out a handkerchief and wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. Her tears were real, but not for the Empress, but for the man just now. Jiang Mingyao sighed heavily. Mother, you worry so much for the Empress, but Father won't appreciate it. Why you do this? Don't forget, that year, the Empress was too sad because of Father taking a concubine. Since then, Father rarely came to your palace. Do you still worry about the Empress? Empress Shu smiled bitterly. Even if the Empress pretended to be sick to make the Emperor feel guilty, she is still the Emperor's most beloved woman. Mingyao, I beg you, you must cure the Empress. That year, the Empress was sick, but in her words, it was pretending to be sick. Jiang Mingyao didn't feel anything wrong. Since her mother said that the Empress was pretending to be sick, then the Empress must be pretending to be sick. Her mother was so gentle and kind, it was impossible for her to wrongly accuse the Empress. Mother, I will try my best. Jiang Mingyao's face was very helpless. Her mother was too kind. She treated her rival like this. Who else in this world could compare with her mother? Yes. Empress Shu's eyes turned a few times. I heard before that Yi family's daughter-in-law Yin Luofeng is a doctor. He also said that he will cure the Empress. If he can't cure the disease, he will die. Mother, is this true? Jiang Mingyao's eyes were cold. Yin Luofeng is really so arrogant? Empress Shu nodded. I heard it from the elders of Yi family. Mingyao, I heard that you and Yin Luofeng had a conflict some time ago. Jiang Mingyao sneered. Mother, in Tianyan country, my medical skills are the best among my peers. I can't cure the Empress. How can Yin Luofeng cure the Empress? For more than 20 years, Jiang Mingyao also participated in countless medical competitions. No one could beat her. No wonder she was so confident. Empress Shu opened her mouth to speak, but Jiang Mingyao suddenly turned and walked out of the room. I'll go take a look at Yin Luofeng's posture when he loses. She had never thought of stopping Yin Luofeng. After all, she had never liked the Empress. If it were not for her mother, she would not have tried to save the Empress. If something went wrong during Yin Luofeng's treatment and caused the Empress to die, that would be the best outcome. Empress Shu's lips curled into a sinister smile as she stared at Jiang Mengyao's departing figure. At this moment, the door to the stone room was open again. The man who had left previously appeared behind Empress Shu. Why did you? Empress Shu's body trembled, and she felt a chill run down her spine. The man smiled coldly. I just said that I'll help you deal with the trouble, and you have to help me too. So, you can use your body to repay me now. Imperial Palace. In the Imperial study, the atmosphere was solemn and cold. The Emperor's expression was cold as he swept his gaze across the crowd and said in a low voice, Elder Yi, you claim that Lady Yun can cure the Empress? Are you serious? Without waiting for the Yi family elder to speak, Yi Jingxian hurriedly interjected, Your Majesty, I can guarantee that this is absolutely true. Yin Luofeng said this in front of me, and there are other elders present. How could I dare lie to your Majesty? Chapter 895. The Emperor glanced at Yi Jingxian coldly. I heard that you have a bad relationship with Yin Luofeng. Who knows if you're deliberately trying to frame her? Cold sweat dripped from Yi Jingxuan's forehead. Yin Luofeng is my nephew's wife. Why would I frame her? My relationship with her has always been very good. Your Majesty must have misunderstood. Good. The Emperor laughed coldly. Then I'll send someone to summon Yin Luofeng and have her diagnose the Empress. Yes, Your Majesty. Yi Jingxian lowered his head. His hands gripped the handles of his wheelchair tightly as his lips curled into a sinister smile. As long as the Emperor gave his decree, Yin Luofeng could not refuse. If she made a mistake in her treatment and caused the Empress to die, the Emperor would not let her off. Not long after the Emperor gave his decree, a snow-white figure appeared outside the royal study. The young girl's demeanor was languid, and a smile hung on her beautiful face. For some reason, Yi Jingxian felt that the young girl's smile carried an evil aura that made people panic. Are you confident? Did the Emperor mean that he had the confidence to make fair consort Shu reveal her true colors? But in the ears of others, it became whether Yin Luofeng had the confidence to save the Empress. Hearing the Emperor's words, Yin Luofeng nodded lightly and said, Take me to see the Empress. Okay. The Emperor's expression instantly became serious. Someone, take Miss Yin to see the Empress. Yin Luofeng smiled. There's no need for such trouble. It's enough to have General Jian take me to see the Empress. Plus, I still have things to say to him. Yi Jingxian suppressed the panic in his heart and raised his head to meet the young girl's evil and moving eyes. He couldn't help but laugh coldly. She had originally thought that Yin Luofeng would deny what she said. She hadn't thought that she would be so cooperative. Since that was the case, she couldn't blame him. Xiao Luofeng. Jin Shengwen walked towards Yin Luofeng and swept his cold gaze over Yi Jingxian. He said mockingly, Some people want to harm your life will eventually harm others and themselves. Yin Luofeng smiled lightly and said a few words in Jin Shengwen's ear. When she said this, she set up a barrier so that outsiders couldn't hear what she was saying. Unsurprisingly, in the eyes of others, Yin Luofeng's actions would be seen as her asking Jin Shengwen for help. Yin Luofeng, isn't it too late for you to ask General Jian for help? Yi Jingxian laughed coldly in his heart. He turned his wheelchair and slid out the door. Today, you will die without a doubt, outside Jingde Palace. Palace maids and eunuchs were waiting at the entrance. At this moment, they saw Yin Luofeng and Jin Shengwen walking over quickly. They hurriedly bowed and greeted, Lord General. You may leave. I will bring Miss Yin in. Jin Shengwen waved his hand and said, Yes, General. The palace maids packed their bags and left the hall. Not long after, Yi Jingxian and the ministers also hurried over. Yin Luofeng didn't hesitate. She placed her hand on the door and gently stepped back. Under everyone's complicated gazes, she walked into Jingda Palace. Father. A voice came from the side, and a woman dressed in palace robes quickly walked over. She bowed to the emperor and said, I heard that someone has volunteered to treat the empress's illness. If he can't be cured, he will die to atone for his crime? Why are you here? The emperor didn't answer her question. Instead, he asked with a frown. Jiang Mingyao bit her lip. I just want to see how Yun Luofeng can swindle people. Chapter 896. How dare you? The emperor's face changed, and he shouted. Miss Yun is here to treat the empress. Who allowed you to frame her like this? Father, it's not that I look down on her, but Yun Luofeng is younger than me. You know my talent. No one in the younger generation in Tianyun can surpass me. Do you really think Yun Luofeng can treat the empress? Jiang Mingyao frowned slightly, and a trace of contempt flashed in her eyes. At this moment, a palace maid came from behind with a bowl of medicinal soup. Let me do it. Jin Chongwen stepped forward and took the medicinal soup. Little Luofeng asked me to prepare this. I will bring it to her now. After saying this, he pushed the door open and walked into the palace. Brother. Suddenly, the Grand Princess's sharp voice came, instantly making the emperor's face sink. Where is that little bitch, Jun Fengling's daughter-in-law? I want to see that little bitch. The emperor's face darkened, and he glanced at the Grand Princess coldly. Without my order, who allowed you to leave the palace? The Grand Princess was his half-sister, so he didn't have much affection for her. Moreover, the Grand Princess often bullied people, which made him even more disgusted. The Grand Princess gritted her teeth. I just heard the palace maid say that Jun Fengling's daughter-in-law has entered the palace. That's why she is here. Brother, how can you let such a lowly thing enter the palace? Aren't you afraid of tarnishing the palace's territory? Guards, take the Grand Princess down. The emperor's expression was cold. Miss Yun is here to treat the empress. It's not your turn to be presumptuous. Treat? The Grand Princess was originally very angry when the guards held her body, but now that she heard the emperor's words, she couldn't help but laugh. Her arrogant laughter spread throughout the entire palace. Brother, you said that Yin Luofeng has medical skills? I guess you have been deceived by her. That woman is useless. How can she have medical skills? The emperor's expression became colder and colder, and just as he was about to shout, a panicked voice suddenly came. Your Majesty, something bad has happened. Honored concubine, Shu staggered over. Her face was pale, sweat dripped from her forehead, and she was panting. Mother! Jiang Mingyao rushed forward and supported Empress Shu's body, asking with concern, what happened? Your Majesty! Empress Shu pushed Jiang Mingyao away and knelt in front of the emperor with a plop. She cried anxiously, I beg you, quickly save Sister Empress. If you're too late, Sister Empress will be beyond saving. Many ministers were summoned by the Yi elder, but they didn't know Yi Jingxuan's purpose. Therefore, after hearing Empress Shu's words, everyone looked at each other, and they didn't know what had happened. Honored Consort Shu, did something happen when you asked His Majesty to save the Empress? Yi Jingxuan's eyes shifted slightly as he asked a question he already knew the answer to. Empress Shu's face was pale. Just now, this Xie passed by the pharmacy, and a palace maid working there told this Xie that Miss Yin had sent a little girl and added a medicinal ingredient into the medicinal soup brewed for Her Majesty the Empress. This Xie knows a little about medicine, and after hearing the palace maid's description, this Xie could tell that the medicinal ingredient was known as the red danshen, a highly toxic poison. The emperor, Yuluo, Yui use I, Yuan, Yaya, Yui, Kama,